everyone. This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 774 for the week of June 17th, 2023. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
And on today's show, we have three special guests. And if you're watching live on YouTube, which you could also watch after this has been recorded at youtube.com/One Piece Podcast or twitch.tv/One Piece Podcast, we have editor, the man, Dan. I didn't even mean that to rhyme, but it did.
Glory be, the funk's on me.
We have. I'm so happy we are recording on a Saturday night just so we could get this man here. We have Greg Werner, our columnist and correspondent in Japan. How's it going, Greg?
Hey, it's good to see you. I'm on this. Is this an actual episode of the One Piece podcast?
They're all actual episodes that you're on, Greg. They're numbered. They're there.
Hey,
and
it's great to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you, Greg. And the star of our first segment here, episode director, Henry Thurlow, is with us. How's it going, Henry?
It's going good. I'm tired and I don't have as much prepared as I usually do because my episode isn't actually airing this week. But yeah, I'm good.
None of us are prepared, so this is perfect. So today we're gonna do three awesome things, and I'll show everyone. First, we have Henry here. These times, by the way, very likely to change. I don't know how long or short we're gonna go on each of them, but we have Henry. Then we're gonna talk about the live action, in which Greg will abstain himself, and then we're going to do some SGS with Steven and Greg. Steven will be joining us there. So Henry, big news. You were the first foreign episode director of One Piece. How's it been? How's that?
A lot of work, and it's not done yet. I'm unusually nervous about it. Like for the last few years, I got to a certain point in my animation where I kind of knew what each delivery meant. This episode comes out, my name's in the credits, everyone says, oh, that's a cool sequence. I worked hard on it and I'm looking forward to everyone checking it out. This is like a totally different experience. So the last time I talked to you guys was back in 1040. Because the Jimbei episode when he used the Buso Shoku Haki, I did like a short part in that one, and I came on the podcast and I said, you won't see me for a while, but when I come back, it'll be big. And that's what this was. I knew the next thing up was, at least, like first it was all storyboarding the episode. And then it was, doing everything I have to do to direct the episode. And I also did tons and tons of animation for the episode. So it's just been like, my life has been nothing but this episode, probably since that podcast, honestly. And that's almost literal. Obviously, you get off work and you have a few weekends and things that you have plans, but like almost entirely my existence since that last podcast has probably been focusing on this episode. And I just really want to make it amazing. The whole first foreigner to be able to get this level of position is a cool thing, but that's really just like a feather in my cap, like a little side note. At the end of the day, for me, all that matters is the episode is good. And that's the one thing that I haven't been able to show anyone yet. And even I don't know if it's, how good it really is, because I'm so close to it. It's hard for me to step back and see what other people will see. So maybe it's great and everyone will say, what people say really could span anything right now, because I'm looking at individual sequences. Does this part work? Does that part work? Yes. Oh, okay. Everything's working. Does everything look like it's connecting? Yes. But at the end of the day, when people see it, will then reviews come out and say, oh, congrats to Henry. I got to say, he, missed the mark on this, and this, though. Hey, good luck next time. Totally possible. Could they be like, oh, man, I was expecting way more. Quite disappointed. Totally possible. Could I be focusing on it so much that I don't realize how good it's working. And everyone says, "Oh my God, it's good." Sure, it's crazy because I really don't know. I'm just trying to make it as good as it can be, especially for such an important episode. And I always wanted this responsibility and wanted to do this, so it's been really fun and thrilling and like a dream come true. But I don't know until everyone sees it kind of what I've made. So yeah, it's quite the experience.
The first question that popped into my head from a previous interview we did with you, we talked about how I think the staff watches the episodes on a big screen before. I don't know if that still happens or if that happens for every episode.
There's screenings.
Yeah. I mean, my question is, have you had one for your episode?
I'm gonna hold off on
Okay.
specific questions related to the schedule and stuff like that. I know people kind of want to know that, but nah.
I was just wondering. I mean, we could talk about it next week when you're on.
Yeah.
I was just
next week when everyone's seen it, I can talk about more stuff.
Okay.
I don't know how much I could talk about behind the scenes stuff. That stuff I can't reveal too much of really. But once the episode's out, I can be like, oh, this is why that decision was made, and like, oh, that's why I thought that would work, and I can talk about like animators that worked on it. Oh, this was a
I want to
France or something. Yeah.
I want to ask this question from someone in the chat because I think it's a good one for people who don't know or are not constantly hooked into social media like the rest of us. So you're directing next week's episode. Do you want to let everyone know kind of the gist of what's supposed to happen? I mean, you don't have to spoil it, but
oh, you mean the
like the plot?
What's the actual question?
I'm sorry, I'll put it back up. It was, wait, what episode did Henry direct?
Oh, okay. So yes, I to answer in a long way, as is as is traditional for me. At my previous studio, directorial, I was not just an animator there, but I usually directed the projects, and I love directing. And I when I got into the One Piece staff, that was my goal, to be honest. I was like, I want my own One Piece episode, essentially. Like that's really kind of the goal. And I kept having meetings with people and seeing what I needed to do to prove myself that I could do that. And then I wanted to, I wanted a big important episode so that I could really focus on it and really try to go as crazy as I possibly could. And I was super fortunate enough to kind of get the big kid-in-law versus Big Mom finale, the penultimate episode, at least, with all like the major, the fighting coming to a conclusion, essentially. And so ever since the last time I worked on the series as an animator back in episode 1040, since then I've been focusing on all the steps necessary to create that episode as an episode director, but also what people might not realize in the West necessarily is in Japanese anime, usually, not all the time, sometimes you see different credits, but usually if the process was kind of done correctly, the way it's intended to be done, the episode directors are actually the storyboard artists also. And so an episode director will storyboard the entire episode, get it approved by like chief directors if they exist, and they're not the director themselves. I'm not the director of the series, of course, so I had to confirm that my boards are okay. This is what I'm going to make. Is everyone on the same page? And then though, you essentially make what you storyboarded out. And so I've been going through every sequence of an episode as episode director, and it will finally air next week. 1066, Kid-in-Law versus Big Mom. I hope it lives up to everyone's expectations. I know Sanji's big climax and then Zoro's big climax have been among the best episodes of the series. I'm not spoiling anything with Luffy's coming up, but it's going to be good. That's all.
Process of elimination here.
Good.
Yeah.
So here's Big Mom. Here's Big Mom's finale, sandwiched in between, obviously legendary stuff. And I hope mine's legendary too. Obviously, that's a big kind of goal or dream to have, or assumption that I can make such a good episode as my first premiere episode. But given that I'm not really a newbie and I've had some experience making, anthology segments and stuff like that as director, hopefully I knew what I was doing and I could at least get somewhere in the level of those kind of episodes. Actually, here's one thing I wanted to say. Here's my goal for the episode. So I'll lay it out. I'm not, online people are like, oh, what episode's better? Does it beat this? Does it beat, Ishitani's, 10-15? It's not about beating. We're all part of the same team. I sit in the same room as everyone making those other episodes.
It's funny
So,
because we got that question already.
Yeah. But so my goal is not versus anybody or comparing to other episodes. I mean, the fans will do that. So whatever, they're going to do what they're going to do. But for me personally, my goal is I want this to be the favorite episode of fans of the three characters that appear in it. So Kid, Law, and Big Mom, I hope it's their best episode, right? Let's ignore Zoro. Let's ignore Luffy's big climax. That's different. That's something different happening. We're focusing on Kid, Law, and Big Mom in this episode, and I hope the Kid fans say, yes, this is my favorite Kid episode by the end of it. And I hope the Big Mom fans say, yes, this is my favorite Big Mom episode. The Law fans will be harder because Law's had like a lot of really good content throughout the whole series. But even still, even if it's a very high bar, because he's had some great stuff, I still hope even the Law fans go, dude, I think this might be like the best Law episode. So if fans of those three characters can leave the episode being like, oh, I'm so happy about this episode, I got to see my character shine for a bit, then that will be fully successful for me. I'm not, as a first-time episode director, it's essentially impossible that I would get to a Megumi Ishitani 10-15 level spectacle. But if fans of those three characters can come away going, oh my god, I'm so happy about this episode, that will be success for me.
I don't want to monopolize the question. So Greg, and there are also some in the chat, but Greg, Steve, Dan.
If I may, and I think this may be just for the sake of people outside the room, can you just explain the differences between like what is an episodic director as opposed to what you've done in the past as an animator, or even like what that compares to an animation director?
On a very just basic level for people who just don't know what these words mean, kind of. So like so far, since, and if we're just talking about One Piece, so far I've worked as a key animator, which means that the episode directors and the series directors would be like, Henry, we need someone to actually draw and move this set of sequences. So the previous episode I worked on was Jinbei, so they came over and said, okay, so in this scene, whose fingers break, Jinbei's looking like this is the kind of look that he gives him, these are the camera angles, here's the storyboard, so you have stuff to follow. And then I draw those pictures, but then everyone checks my stuff. So even if I think something looks good, the directors might look at everything and say, okay, well, I understand why Henry thought this was good, but now that I, the director, am seeing everything connected, actually the way who is standing, let's say, isn't like the other animators' scenes. So as I'm going to have to change a little bit of some of their scenes, maybe a little bit of Henry's scenes, because an episode isn't just random sequences thrown together. Oh, this animator did that animator did that, hooray, let's all just edit it together, it's fun. It's it has to all be checked, and everything needs to flow together correctly. So animators might have delivered great stuff, and one of the animators might have delivered terrible stuff. But at the end of the day, that terrible stuff and all this other great stuff that isn't connecting has to all connect and look about the same quality, right? Otherwise, the episode would look wild. So the episode director is the one looking at everything and being like, I'm not focusing on just one smooth animation sequence. I'm focusing on, like, is this a really truly good episode from a standpoint of everything connecting to one another and pacing, and like does it get exciting at the right moments? You know, are there 10 action sequences and then all of a sudden we hit a brick wall and it's super boring for 30 seconds, but then it's crazy again? Because then, like, what will you even do with music later, right? Because I mean, the individual sequences might go viral online, but at the end of the day, this episode, as you watch it, is a very weird episode, and you don't know how to feel about it. It doesn't feel great, right? Because it's going wild. So a Megumi Ishitani, for example, who does it like probably the best, can have consistent quality throughout the whole episode. That's quite good quality, and then it really just comes to a climax right at the right moments and in the right way. And so that's what the episode director is doing. The person that steps back and says, I am taking responsibility of the entirety of the episode, not individual sequences. So yeah, I had to look over every single sequence of the entire thing, stuff that I animated and stuff I didn't, and make sure that it hit my own personal quality line, and of course the quality line of the studio and everything in general.
Greg, Steve, Dan, Ed.
You kind of touched on it a little bit before. So it's kind of like a two-part question. How long was it before you knew that you were stepping up into this role? And since then, how has your sleep been? Because I'm like, that's a lot of pressure, I can imagine. Like, I know you touched on it a little bit, but like, obviously you've gotten a lot of adulation for it, a lot of congratulations, and very, very well deserved. But like, man, like how did you feel when like the news first broke on that?
Internally, how did I feel?
Yeah, internally, externally, all
externally,
facets.
It just got revealed like a few days ago, and
Right.
then the internet goes wild. Actually, okay, I can answer. Well, externally, let me put it this way. I posted this too. I'm used to just getting like negative and hate replies. Like, hey, everyone, I worked on this episode. God, I hate you. I despise that you worked on this series. And that would be even before One Piece. It would just be like, who cares in the comments? Like, just ridiculous, snobby comments. And then, but then the thing would come out, and then everyone, most people would be like, this looks good. And then even the people that posted the hate stuff would be like, whatever, I still don't like you. But okay, but that's my little experience with Twitter and stuff. But this time, I posted that I was directing the episode, and then the next morning I'm flooded with like, we support you, Henry, we love you, Henry, we believe in you, you're so important to us. And I'm like, oh my god, oh no, this is horrible. I'm being supported. This is a catastrophe.
No one wants praise.
Like that, because that means like everyone's really like rooting for me, has expectations. Like, that's to have expectations upon you is a burden. So now I'm like, oh no, people really think like, oh, so now it really better be like worthy of a climactic battle. Oh shoot. I mean, I knew the responsibility the whole time making it, of course, but yeah, it's been a wild kind of week because I haven't experienced like this much expectations of me. As far as internally, yeah, I'm not going to go into details about how it all happened. But look, I'll just say this in general for the people out there. Everyone always has the same answer, which is you have to hustle, right? Like, so behind the scenes, and for a long time, I was trying very hard to make this happen, and you have to hustle very hard behind the scenes. And so I made my intentions clear as early as possible and as often as possible. And I think that's what you have to do if you're going to, accomplish stuff. That I'll say.
Just if my mic is working. Is my mic working?
Yeah.
Okay,
it is.
Cool. It hasn't been for like 20 minutes. So just realized this. I have a question. You mentioned it's good to be. You mentioned that you worked on the Jinbei episode, and obviously who's who in that episode. Just I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but did you ever get a note that ran to the tune of can you draw who's who a little bit more racist? Did you ever?
I didn't. Although in my case, I literally only drew who's hands and then his face screaming for one sequence. My camera was focused on Jinbei the whole time.
That sounds
Okay.
pretty
Those
racist.
were some racist hands.
Yeah. I recall.
All right. But no, actually, one thing I was wondering was, and this has very little to do with anything official. How long were you holding on to that perfect joke the other day with the auras and
the second so for those who don't know, like just a quick recap of that, and then I'll say, so right when I entered the Toei staff, I had long since like not checked Reddit. Reddit is like the one place I don't check. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but like, cause like a while back, even for totally unrelated to One Piece stuff, I think, like when I see like when I announce a new project at the previous studio, when I announced a new project or something, like, are people talking about it? Are people saying positive things about it? What are they saying about it? Right? It wasn't just like vanity of like, like what does the world think of me? I wanted to see like are people talking about the thing that was just announced, or are they not? And like when I would check various places, I would see various comments, some positive, some negative. But then I went over to Reddit, and it's just like, I want this guy dead. I want his head in a bucket, like just like death threats and just ridiculousness. So I'm like, Reddit is just a cesspool. Like I'm not ever gonna check Reddit, right? Again. And so I probably am exaggerating. People go back into the Reddit for it wasn't that bad necessarily, but the comments were so bad that I was like, there's no point in me even being here. That I may have been hyperbolic slightly, but like so when I joined the One Piece staff, I had a couple friends actually say like, look at what people are saying, like different friends, totally unrelated, and like in their own little like social network, and then I think both of them were on Reddit. They sent me like just screenshots of people saying like, oh no, this is a catastrophe that an American is working over there in Japan in general, or on this production, because he's going to insert woke American culture into everything. This is how the infiltration starts. Just all kinds of crazy rants. This is how the infiltration starts. Look out for more bean mouth animation, Western style animation, as if any studio here would hire me to make American animation, right? Like the comments are just ridiculous. Like, why would they do that? Like they would hire me in America to make that animation, but not here. Why would they do that? But they're like, no. And by the way, why would I have the power? Like I come in as a worker, and then all of a sudden I'm like, everyone, shut it down. I like the bean mouth animation. We're making Cartoon Network stuff from now on. That's it. I decided it. Shut it down. But like that's what all these comments, and it wasn't one or two, it was like a whole couple Reddit forums of nonstop, like Henry's going to infiltrate and disease the entirety of the anime industry and One Piece in general. And so I saved those screenshots, and to your question, and then what I did this week is like I drew Kid in Law with bean mouth and like ridiculous auras with like your pride flag auras and stuff, like the exact same stuff that they would absolutely just hate and scream about. And so I posted that as like just a sarcastic, ridiculous thing, and everyone knows it's sarcastic and ridiculous because right before I even posted it, I shared the screenshots of the Reddit thing, and I said like, I got a joke coming up for these guys. And nevertheless, they still explode and go ridiculous because they're just ridiculous people. But to your answer, how long did I know I was going to do that? From the second I read those Reddit comments. The second I read the Reddit comments like 2 years ago, I was like, oh, I'm going to draw exactly what they hate and post it and just watch them all scream. But I had to wait for the right time, right? That's
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Any other comments? Dan or Ed?
I'm just sort of curious how your job has changed with the different job title now, with the different duties.
How my what?
Sort of how your day has changed since you became an
Yeah, there was the
episode
part of the
director.
question. You know what? This as far as schedules and stuff go, look, everyone knows it's a tough industry, but I've mentioned this before. Like I'm not interested in just totally ripping it and tearing it down and saying, oh my god, woe is us. Like I think that for key animators, I've mentioned this before, so I'll mention the exact same thing again. I think for in-between animators in particular, it's really tough. So that's like the one of the few or handful of sections of the industry I really would like to see changed. I think it's unfair for the in-betweeners, and in-betweeners, it hurts everybody because in-betweeners are really important to the process, and then but if you don't pay them enough, then a lot of them just kind of rush through their job because they're not earning enough, and so they just try to get as much done as humanly possible, which is understandable. I understand that from that perspective, but then what ends up happening is sequences can get ruined too because in-betweeners rushed it and things like that. So I want the in-betweeners kind of lives to be better and for them to be able to sit and more just focus on their work as opposed to, oh no, I'm in a bad situation financially and everything, so I have to rush. But as for key animators and then all the other positions past that, it kind of comes down to how you manage your schedule, right? I think I mentioned this on the Jinbei episode because I didn't do very much on that one. You can be like, I can't do 50 sequences in this. I just I'm just going to do 10 over here, or I can only do this much. So as far as episode directors go, it's not like I mean, I asked for it, you know what I mean? I was like, I want to do this, trust me, like I'll do what it takes. And then also it's how much you want to put into it. If there was a moment where I was like, I need to take a few days off for something important, no one would begrudge me of that. It's not like it's not like I'm forcefully being overworked or anything like that at all. That's not the case. But usually what I choose is hard work, right? I'm like, if I stay here longer, if I do this, if I take the extra few hours, if I take this Saturday or whatever, then this set of sequences will look better. Then I will be able to actually add the preposterous amount of motion that I want in this one moment. And so it's up to me, it's my responsibility, and it's me choosing to do that. Like the episode doesn't need crazy action here. Like if the character jumps in, comes to a stop, and then looks up, it's okay. Like no one will mind. Like, and as far as my job goes, I've accomplished my job just fine, and no one will be angry. All the series directors will be like, good job. It's whatever. It's me choosing to be like, no. They don't jump in and they look up. They jump in, and then they like wipe their shirt, and then they shimmy, and then they like, grab the sword, and then like they look at each other, and then they look up. But it's like, why did I add all this motion? Because I wanted to, because like it's important to me as an artist that this looks as cool as it can be, right? And so no one forced me to do that. I did that on my own. But the end result is, if I'm gonna do that, that's gonna be an extra few probably days of work to add all that extra motion that I've added on myself, all by myself, right? But once I decide to do it, then I need to see it through. I can't go 3/4 of the way and be like, let's backtrack. And I actually don't want to do it. Once you make the decision, then you've made the decision. I'm going to have to put in the amount of work to get that done. So there's a lot of you did this to yourself kind of feeling constantly. And like for next week's episode, well, for all my One Piece stuff, I would say in particular, but especially for next week's episode, I really tried to push it as far as I could everywhere. In fact, I mentioned that like I want it to be a really good, Law, Kid, and Big Mom episode, but I think Yamato fans and Momonosuke fans can also have a little something to look forward to. I doubt it'll be their best episodes, but I don't know, maybe pretty good, maybe some little shining moments. And the reason is because of what we're talking about right here. Like I could have just been like, oh, those are quick cutaways, like, no worries, they are what they are. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be like, even when we cut away here, something really cool happens and it looks really nice. And so that results in a lot of work. But I don't mind it, and I knew what I was getting into. Oh yeah, and also, if there are any, I mean, is there even one Kazembo fan? If the Kazembo fans out there,
I have to look that
have
up.
something to look forward to.
Oh,
It's
no,
the fire
yeah,
demon. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was one of the Shinsengumi or whatever it was.
One of there's one single Kazembo fan in the world, and right now that person's like, yes.
God, I want to find that person. I want to find that Kazembo fan, because Kazembo does so much.
Yeah.
Are you? What if they're not a Conjurer fan? But anyway, getting off on a tangent. I hesitate to ask too many questions because I think I know your answer is going to be next week. Someone did ask, and I'll try and find the questioner here. If you have any, I guess, authority to choose like the other animators on your particular episode, or how that would, I don't know how that process works or what you're allowed to say.
What am I allowed to say? I right. Greg knows. Greg knows. It's not the easiest thing, right? It's not the easiest thing. I think I can say this without an issue. I do have, since I'm right there in the meetings and everything. It's not necessarily like, can I do this or can I not do this? It's just that I'm there talking to everyone, so you can say things and you can make suggestions. I can say, I know 3 animators that will be interested in working on my episode. I would like, I'm planning on contacting them. Everyone's cool with this, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, if I have connections who are good animators, everyone will be happy if they participate. So to quite a large extent, yes, I was very aware of who was working on my episode and for what sequences. So I did go through with like a, what's the phrase, like fine tooth comb or something like that. Like who was taking what and who would be good for what. Yeah, I was pretty specific, like even down to, is this a good person for action or is this a good person for, facial expression changes, like acting sequence, because giving the wrong thing to the wrong person can result in animation you didn't want, and then there's tons of stuff to correct. So yeah, there was a lot of considering before we really got going and started passing out work, who would be good for what. And just like I said my goal for Big Mom and Law and Kid, I guess I can say this too, like there are a lot of international animators, to the point where this, I don't want it to like make the news or whatever, but with like a quote, but for me personally, it's like one of the most international things I've ever worked on. Even when you compare it to, like stuff I made at Day Art, which was like Japan based, but like international studio, right? And we would constantly be working on stuff from Europe and with different animators from all around, freelancing. But next week's episode, I actually, I'll prepare this for next week when we actually talk about it. I'll make a list of like all the different countries the people who worked on it came from, and it's quite unbelievable.
That's cool.
That'd be awesome.
The episode is almost like a dream realized in some ways, of like a truly really like global international kind of creation, because the amount of countries that people come from is quite amazing, and there's a lot of people who have never even worked on Japanese anime at all. But me being episode director and being able to speak in English the entire time, and convince them to like, hey, can you give me this sequence, which is like an acting sequence, let's say, is not something they've ever been approached, with. Like if they ever even gotten an email, an anime studio, like they were probably like, anime, well, that's not my style at all, that won't work, But like I as an English speaker could be like, let me make this pitch to you, because there were some animators that I specifically wanted to use. And so yeah, the staff role next week is going to be quite interesting, because it's going to be hard for those Sakuga websites. You know how there's always like Sakuga breakdowns. It's going to be hard because it's not the usual the usual suspects. There's going to be a lot of names where you're like, who the F is this person? Because they've never worked on anime before. But
awesome.
I know they're a good animator, and if I could check everything and make sure it's going through the anime process properly, then I was confident that even this person who's not familiar with the anime process so much could still get involved in this. And I think it worked successfully. So yeah, you have a lot to look forward to next week. I hope it all came together. And that's the thing I can't confirm. I can't take that step back and be like, how good is the episode overall? Because I'm too in it. But individually, this set of sequences, this set of sequences, this set of sequences, there's definitely a lot to look forward to from all those animators that put in a lot of work. Yeah.
That's heartwarming. I like that you were able to put together a coalition like that. I would be remiss to say that dude over there does mention that they're called Cousin Bros.
Wow. All right. Well, Cousin Bros, it's your time. I mean,
there's 12 of us, dozens.
Oh, I was going to say
that
the notes that they're plural. I thought there was only
Cousin
one.
Bros. Actually, yeah. You know what? Time for the big reveal. I decided to stuff all of the big action of the episode into the last 3 minutes, and this is mainly a Kazembo episode.
Okay, good.
We're just focusing
I got scared.
on that.
You were mentioning Law Kid and Big Mom.
International animation for Kazembo. I just wanted to focus on that. That's my big reveal. So Cousin Bros, it's your time. That's
go
live.
you.
Don't post that as if I said it.
That's going to be the only thing on Reddit now.
It's going to be like a headline on Kotaku. Henry promises best Kazembo episode ever.
We've had a writer from Kotaku on, so we'll try and work that connection to make sure that that's what it says. Dan, Steve, Greg, Ed, any other questions for Greg? Oh no, Greg's still there. Any other questions for Henry?
If you've had the opportunity, I guess I propose it this way: have you met Yoshike-san in Bijutsu? And if so, why is he your favorite person in the world?
Oh, that's the head of the department.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's walking around all the time. And if you ask it that way, because you probably know he's super friendly. He's always walking around chatting with people. Super friendly. Yeah.
He is without a doubt the most friendly, awesome, interesting, just outgoing person I've met in the group. And I mean, there's tons of amazing personalities in the group. Very different. It's a rainbow of personalities. But he has just from years back has just been an amazing individual. I'm just wondering if he was able to form any kind of fun relationship with you, because he's been really, really kind to me through the years. And also some context for who we're talking about, I guess, for the
I need that.
Yes, please.
Oh, go for it, Greg. You would probably.
He's see, Henry can answer this better than I can in terms of what he actually does, but he is in charge of a lot of the I don't know, setting up how things look, and that's a very kindergarten-esque kind of description, I think. But like, he's a person who will set a lot of tones for the overall series, and each arc, and how things will look coming together. I don't know if that appropriately describes, based on what you know.
I guess so. Yeah. Like the thing is, I don't know how great I can answer it, because that's like a totally different floor and different department from where I'm at. I interact with everybody, but as far as like the actual process, I haven't seen it so much. I get the boards and everything that are created from that department, and so I see what they make, and yeah, each story arc has kind of its own feel and its own theme, right? I mean, a lot of that is Oda's manga, but then when you're reading it in black and white, is this whole like when they arrived on Punk Hazard, let's say, you didn't really like there might have been a line of dialogue, oh look, the whole place is on fire, but you don't really know what that is. It all yellow? Is it all red? Is it all orange? Is it a giant rainbow of all red-ish colors? Is it dark red? Is like the inside of a volcano and like the sky is blackened? Like you don't know. It could look really different. So someone just posted art director with a question mark, and the interesting thing about a big giant series like One Piece is that there's like two levels, and this is true for no doubt all like long ongoing series. On a short series or like a feature film or something, right? One little single project, there might be one director, one art director, and then this person, right? This person decides the whole way the thing looks because it's a single project, right? But on a longer series, I'm the episode director now, for example, but there are still series directors. So undoubtedly people also would be like, well, what's the difference between that? And it's the same difference between like the art director setting the mood for the entire series versus the art director setting the mood for a single episode. So there is there are these overarching directors that really set the tone for the entirety of the series. And then even the directors of the individual episodes and the art directors of the individual episodes still have to generally at least follow that. But then the individual episodes also have a new set of eyes and people who focus on just that, 21 minutes, 22 minutes. And so that's how you get episodes that look wildly different from each other, because this set of artists could focus on that and take it in this direction, whereas this set of artists can focus on that and take it in this direction. But the thing that connects them are the things that were set up by those like super high up series directors, right? So like I can't be like, I'm deciding Onigashima's island is made of light gray stones, because it's already been set by the series what the color of the stones looks like in the shape. You know what I mean? So even the people focusing on the individual episodes already have a stack of stuff that's like, this is predetermined, this cannot change. If this predetermined stuff that does not change from episode to episode, then even if stylistically each episode is a bit different, it's all held together as a series, right? And so, yeah, those people with the responsibility of like setting the mood for the overarching whole thing, I mean, there's no responsibility bigger than that they decide how the entirety of the next, 50 episode or 100 episode arc will look. It's obviously a big deal.
And I'm sure we'll talk about this more next week. But I mean, I think Onigashima is one of the starkest examples of that, in that it takes place at night, the whole thing. And I think it's really easy to forget that in the manga, at least, because it's a white background with a moon. And I was just going to say, I'm sure we'll talk about this more next week, but I think I really enjoyed it in the manga. I'm not saying I didn't, but it was one of the harder to follow fights, if I recall, the Law Kid Big Mom fight. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it in the anime, because it'll probably make more sense. I'm sure that was a challenge, if you agree with that sentiment, but
oh no, it was super simple figuring out where everyone was in the room at all times while they jumped off of random buildings. Yeah, no big deal at all. Obviously,
I forgot about the buildings.
I had to make a map myself and everything, and be like, and then he's running diagonally in this direction, and then I'd be like, I got it. And then that whole thing blows up, and then we're good to go. And then like later in like the last couple pages, I'd be like, oh, they're not in that area at all. Oh man, that's all wrong. That's all. Wait a minute. So that was that building. Oh boy. All right, back to the drawing board. Yeah. and the anime has to, you know, because in the manga, often the backgrounds aren't even shown. I mean, in One Piece, actually, they're shown more often than most manga. I think the backgrounds are quite often drawn. But even in One Piece, there's lots of panels where, you know, the background is just smoke or like a very rough scribble of a building, and what direction exactly are they facing? Are they in front of that? Or are they in front of that? How far have they ran? It's those little details that actually make adapting stuff a lot harder than people probably realize, because they probably think like, oh, here's how I'd animate that sequence and I'd put that kind of music on top of it. Okay, but like, where are they and what's damaged around them? And is there a building that will ruin your composition because that's actually what's behind the character? And so you can't put the character in the composition you were hoping to, because in fact, there's something in front or in front of them. If they're surrounded by rocks, you can't then have a wide shot, because if you pull the camera back too far, everyone will be like, where's the rocks they were next to, right? And so you have to be aware of what is around all the characters and where they are at all times. And then even if you in your mind have the best camera angle in mind, or sometimes even the manga will be at a camera angle, right? And you want to use that, but once you've kind of established the world more in the anime, you realize, you know, Oda didn't draw it, but in fact, this big thing would be covering this character. You know what I mean? And so now that that's been established in the anime, I can't really use this panel exactly, because when you watch it, when you read it in the manga, you don't really notice it. Like you're not thinking where the camera is, right? But like now that it's an anime, when you see it more in like a film type setting, everyone would be like, wasn't the character right there? Why is the character not there? And so, but if the character is there, then this composition is ruined. So you have to rethink, like, I'm going to have to shift that a little bit over here to get that character out of the way. And it'll be a little different from the manga, but like this kind of stuff has to be done so that everything looks like it's flowing like a movie. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's the little details of figuring out all the things that can go wrong at any moment, that makes, you know, filmmaking difficult.
Awesome. Really cool to hear. And I just I'm always struck by the amazing brain it takes for both Oda and animation directors, and to be able to three-dimensionally think of all that. Brian Newton, we've had on here before, as an animation director as well, and like you have to remember where everything is at all times. Yeah. Any other questions for Henry? Otherwise, I'm gonna let you go, because
all right,
we've been on for an hour, and we're gonna
They're having you back next week.
We're gonna be talking to you next week for probably more than 1 hour. So
I would assume so. Assume so. Even then, I'm gonna have to be careful about not, you know, saying too much about behind the scenes stuff. But in terms of like
but next week we could cut it.
In terms of, well, look, everyone will have seen it, and you know, I'm also super excited. You know, don't you know, fluff me up. If it's terrible, tell me it's terrible. Henry, I gotta tell you, last week you were saying it was going to be good, and this is one of the worst episodes in the whole series. What are you thinking? No, give it to me straight.
You just want people to insult you, Henry? Is that what I'm getting here?
No. But you know, next week talking about, you know, some of those international animators and just the overall kind of experience of doing it, and hopefully talking about how the episode looked good. Hopefully, yeah, we could do all that. But I guess well, I'm super curious too, just how everyone's reaction will be.
Yeah, I am too. I'm more curious to watch it than anything. Henry, looking forward to seeing you next week. And thank you for sticking around so long to talk about get us all hyped and ready to go.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you, Henry.
See you next time.
Oh, wait, before you go, where can people find you?
I don't think I'm hard to find. At this, just Google my name or follow the people sharing either something I posted that they love or hate and are yelling about. Henry Thurlow. If you just Google my name, look, I'm on. I always said, like, try to follow me on other stuff other than Twitter, because Twitter is the only thing blowing up. But at this point, like, Twitter is so far ahead of all the other stuff. Like, I guess Twitter's where I talk the most. So, yeah.
Okay.
Find me where you will.
Thank you, Henry.
right.
I'll let you go now. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
What's next? Let's see. We're going to talk about the live action. Greg, quick, leave.
Oh crap.
Wait. Before you go, since we got a couple minutes too, I do want to ask, like, what are your thoughts? I think you've talked about this on the SGS a lot. When you're like a person who can't reveal everything, and how lonely that feels. That I'm sure it feels good to hear from other people in the One Piece world who are in similar situations.
Yeah. Especially someone from like my hemisphere of the world.
The tri-state area.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
right. I thought so. I thought he was like
he's from New York. Yeah.
Okay, because he was like nobody, and I was just like, oh, you got
I feel like I'm
nobody.
home.
Yeah, I thought so. All right, but no. It's kindred spirit. It is very lonely and annoying, because I really want to be on your next segment, but I cannot be. So
We will, I assume, at some point in time, maybe later, talk to you in more detail about all of this stuff in the future. So it'll happen.
there is an SGS coming up.
There is an SGS coming up. So
We are contractually obligated to answer everything. We're not contractually obligated. We're contractually obligated to answer everything that is asked in the SGS. So
yes, that's true. Even the most ridiculous Sanada-esque questions we are forced to answer, unfortunately, for everyone involved.
All right.
Okay, Greg. We will see you
Take care,
later.
folks. Enjoy. See you in a bit.
I'll ping you when we're ready.
Okay.
Okay. So, speaking of, we should probably ping Vero to come on. I'm gonna save the live action discussion. Any other thoughts about Henry or anything? How are your days going?
There's nothing like regret on the One Piece podcast where you have a really good Simpsons reference and you forget to make it at the right time.
Well, now I need to hear.
It's never stopped us before.
I was gonna
Just do
I was
it.
gonna say, Henry, I'm a big fan, but your last episode sucked. I know there were script problems from day one.
Oh crap!
Yeah, I
would have
say,
been going.
magic
Golden
ticket
ticket my ass.
Yeah, here they are, Vero, just in time for the Simpsons references.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. How could we not?
Yeah.
We got to talk about the live action, guys.
The
By the way,
Emily Rudd
Vero-
vibes from Vero are on point.
Huh?
I said the Emily Rudd vibes from
Oh.
Vero are on point.
That's
Thank you.
true. That's not a
She's-
wig.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment because she's fucking gorgeous.
Wig.
So thank you.
So we have a lot to talk about. So the trailer just dropped for the live action at TUDUM around an hour before we started recording this, which I luckily have had a chance in that hour to watch
10
it.
minutes before it went on stage.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
And a friend of the show, Belle, was in the audience in Sao Paulo. And I think that pissed them off reasonably.
Yeah.
I would be pissed off in that circumstance. I'd be very pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Do people have to pay money to go to that? Like, or was it
Oh,
like
but they do have to stand there all day.
Yeah.
do you know what's crazy? That's a promotional event. Like, you'd be charging tickets for
I
like,
mean,
and they wonder why there's
people go to D23
problem
and shit too.
Ugh.
So.
Mhm.
yeah, that's true. It's just, it seems
People
so
are excited
backwards.
for next products.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about the live action? And let me see if I'm going to share the screen so we could go through some of what's in the trailer one by one. If you're listening to this without video, feel free to check us out at youtube.com/OnePiecePodcast, twitch.tv/OnePiecePodcast, or you could just watch the trailer. And I assume if you've listened to this, you probably have watched it a few times. Let's see what I could do here. Oh, by the way, I had to look up the word bean mouth. I had never heard of that before.
It's also known as Cal art style.
Yeah.
Oh, that I've heard.
Why are we talking about this?
Sorry. I know you were trying to
I
avoid
know,
that. Okay.
no. Oh no, I just mean like I was like, why is bean mouth coming up? I want to talk about how cute everybody looks.
Here we go.
Yeah, so here we go.
Oh, yeah, our first shot, the first one you want to pull up.
I don't know what. There's our main character dying.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my fault. We should probably start from the beginning.
Because they might not be they're sort of in order. Listen, the screenshots are screenshots.
I don't know if these were from you or Ken, but I did the ones that were higher quality.
Those are probably Ken, you know. So,
yeah, probably.
that's
So
fine.
thanks, Ken. So first of all, I guess just initial thoughts about the trailer when you watched it the first time. I want to start with Ed. What were your
I
thoughts?
liked it. I think it has the spirit of One Piece. I think it's a little. It looks about as good as I expected. Just to say, it looks kind of cheap. But I don't know. I think the crew works well together. I think Iñaki is a good Luffy in particular, and the whole series sort of hinges on him. So if the writing keeps the gestalts of the characters, if it keeps the characters intact, then I think it's going to be a decent adaptation, even if it looks like, I don't know, it's like Babylon 5 level. It was what I would expect out of like a Saturday syndicated show when I was a kid.
I don't know. Well, first of all, okay, I'm not going to start arguing opinions. Everyone's subjective. Dan, what did you think?
I feel really bad because I was like getting kind of like, oh man, like the initial reaction seemed to be like pretty negative. But yeah, you're right. Like everybody is entitled to like their opinions, and like, and I can see both sides to it. So from my end, like I'm real excited. Like I'm of the opinion that more One Piece is more One Piece, which means, hey, like that's more for me to be able to enjoy. And that doesn't always pan out, especially in the realm of like video games, but
And movie 8.
and yeah, but I mean, Oda himself, like I'm putting a lot of faith in him, you know, especially with him saying that like, hey, this is now's the time for us to be able to do this. You know, we've been working really hard on it, so I'm like reserving most of my criticism until the episodes are live. But on initial look, it seems to retain a lot of the energy. Like it's very lively, colorful. You know, the chemistry from the cast, you know, just to touch on Ed's point, has been phenomenal. Like they seem really close knit. And it doesn't feel like that's a forced thing. Like they genuinely seem to really jive well together, be really good friends. So I think that's going to show through in the actual episodes themselves. There's like one or two things that I'm like, that's a weird choice. You know, just like based upon some of the screenshots. But I guess we'll get through that as it goes. But overall, I'm hype.
You know, I completely forgot this is Steve and Vero's show, and I really should have thrown it to them immediately.
No, I have
You're
so much
saving
to
the
say.
best for last.
Let us go last.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I'll go then.
Yeah, Zach, what did you think?
But what did I think?
Mhm.
I was really pleasantly surprised. I think so. We first talked about this in like 2017, I think, is when this was announced. And I remember the conclusion we came to was similar to what Dan said. Like, the worst that could happen is that it's a terrible series and maybe a few people get into it, but you still have the manga and you still have a great anime right now, as we just discussed. Like that's the worst that could happen. Stepping back, I think this was it. I think Ed's initial reaction was probably mine. It looks like a lot of fun. I'll start with the good. I was most pleasantly surprised by the writing. I was super expecting a usual Netflix tagline kind of thing.
Did that a little bit. They did the I'm sensing a little bit of tension within the crew. And that's
I don't know.
Like a trailer line.
It
Yeah.
does, but it was a Luffy line, and I think it fits Luffy. I think it's funny and aloof. I really liked Iñaki enough that if that was a trailer line, I really enjoyed it, and I chuckled. I thought the line at the end was really good with Zoro and Luffy.
Mhm.
Like the writing has been the thing that personally has scared me the most. Like I knew there was only so much budget they could do in CGI and making rubber look real and all of the other things. Like those are really hard. I think that's the main reason people are like, this can't work as a live action series. Like, okay, but if the acting's good, if the writing's good, that's what's important. I really think, and the story. And from what the cast has been saying down at TUDUM in Sao Paulo, they've done like 5 little promo videos with each of the cast. Heart comes up a lot in it, and that makes me feel good because that is super crucial, I think, to the series. I think the one thing that really that I was pleasantly also surprised by is the setting. Having just been in Croatia, I really appreciated
Shellstown?
Shellstown looked super awesome. I thought like maybe not the settings, like the sets themselves, those were fine. But I think when you get to see like those picturesque things, that's awesome. And that's a really important One Piece thing. I mean, you always get those two-page spreads of like a new locale. So that was a pleasant surprise for me to see personally.
You got Buggy and Elvita. We saw a bit of Elvita at the very end of the trailer.
I have opinions about Buggy that seem to be the opposite of everyone else's opinions, but that might just be my opinions on clowns, which is the opposite of Vero's.
It's okay, Zach. All of my compatriots in Buggy Nation are cowards. I have discovered today because they're all like, "Oh, this is horrifying," and I'm like, "He's not a supermodel. You have like what? It's
there. It is.
Look at that. I love that. That's my. He's a scary little clown. I love him.
Are you attracted to that then? I'm very confused.
No, I can love him though. I don't have to.
Okay.
It can be a
because that is my nightmare, right above me. Tonight.
One of my oofies was like, "Why is this shot like he's topping me?" And I was like, first of all, shut the fuck up. Second of all, like for the intimidation factor.
Well, this turned into a Vero segment pretty quick.
But
notice that his nose has pores on it.
I love that. It's fantastic.
I mean, it is his nose.
It is his nose. Yeah, it's perfect.
Who are you calling a porous nose?
I also like what I like what they did with the wig and the hair and I'm sorry. This is still you have the talking stick.
I have the talking stick?
Yeah,
no, I want to ask. I was done with the talking stick, and I was going to give you the talking stick so you could talk about more of his nose pores.
They look lovingly rendered. Whoever had to sit there and take care of Buggy's nose was like,
poor guy or girl or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's fantastic. If you're gonna be a fucked up little clown that can take your body apart, this is the energy that I want. So
fair enough.
That's
fair
fine.
enough. Well, that's really
that special effect in the trailer.
Yeah, we didn't see that special effect, and I really didn't think about how freaky that would be in real life. A clown.
I don't know.
That could take his
like
body apart.
His head is separated a little bit, like just like from the perspective. Like
it could be. In this particular photo, I forget what it looked like.
This would be the shot to show off his powers. Look, I could lift my head slightly away from my body.
Isn't it so unsettling?
I didn't even notice the teeth.
Just using force perspective. Get him.
The teeth is also freaky.
The teeth.
Okay, let's get off of Buggy. I'm gonna change this image, Vero.
I'm
sorry.
Fine.
Back to the beginning. We should go through it.
Yeah, I do want to go, but Vero, I want to first hear your thoughts.
I was in the middle of trying a kimono on when the trailer dropped, and I had to rip it all off so I could.
Who doesn't have that story? Who doesn't?
I mean,
and I was like,
"You really have to."
There were many pins and needles, and I was like, I need the freedom to move my body.
Did someone hold your sash as you spun?
Yeah, Sarah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I was like, holy shit, I need to sit down and watch this. And then my roommate was like, I'm not watching until I put it on TV because it wasn't on Netflix yet. And anyway, it was great. We were freaking out. It was very fun. I don't know. I got the warm fuzzies from it because it just feels cute. And there are some things listen, there are some things where I'm like, what the fuck is this directional choice? But that's fine. But like, I don't know. I think it served its purpose for me specifically, and that it made me very excited for what we're going to see. I have a lot of. I'm trying to condense my thoughts because I have a lot of them, so I don't want to.
Well, we'll get to them when we go.
So, yeah.
When we go screen by screen. Steve.
Overall, you know, I feel like it's kind of capturing the tone. I think it's you got to understand how jarring it is, like when you're just used to an animated or series or a comic for so long, and then when all of a sudden you see it in live action, it is kind of, it's almost like my eyes are readjusting. So I think I'm still getting over that little bit of awkwardness there, but I feel like the tone is there. Because it does have this kind of sense of like adventure and fun, but there's like a sense of danger here through. I don't know, like the buggy. I'm hoping we're not getting like some like Jared Leto or Joaquin Phoenix
that
vibes
was
from
my
that buggy.
Yeah.
Because an adult clown man pirate bad guy, I guess, is supposed to be kind of creepy. He's not. I don't know. Maybe that's someone's baby girl right now.
Someone
who
could be in the room right now.
It's unlike Conzenbo fans. Vero is right here. So,
but I don't know. I'm like I continue to be charmed by the main cast of the Straw Hats here, and this is a lot of it. Inoki in this trailer. It's him. Zoro and Nami are mostly in this trailer. We do get a little bit of Usopp and Sanji.
Shirtless Sanji.
Big shirtless San.
We'll get to that.
Is in there. But yeah, I guess this is kind of like, this is like One Piece live action. It's like, I'm like, yeah, like this set right here, like this feels very much like, that feels like a crowded, port, with like, you have all that woodworking there. I noticed that Luffy's got the strap. I think that's one part. It's like, because that he would have lost that hat a long time ago.
Yeah, I actually watching the anime and manga. I at the beginning I was always like, "Where's the strap? Why isn't he drawing the strap?"
I'm always
Optimus
saying
Prime's
this.
trailer.
I was waiting for that.
Oh god.
There it is. Dan, was that you?
Yes.
Okay, good.
You set it up. You set it up twice. So
I always do that by accident. Highlight. So let's go through the photos. With this first one here, which we'll describe, Luffy and Yaki as Luffy reaching up at presumably the figurehead of the Going Merry.
Look at his Aloha shirt.
I was gonna say my favorite part. I think one of my favorite parts of this trailer is that Luffy wears a different shirt in all of them, and I like that in real life people change their shirts and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Archie and his pal Jughead wear the same clothes every day.
Okay,
Not on Riverdale.
Go back to Riverdale. Okay.
Yeah, stay out of Riverdale.
Out of Riverdale. No. Okay. Whatever. I missed the lineup. And wait, sorry. Any other thoughts on Luffy and Yaki? Just I see the scars there. I like how they did it.
Yeah,
Subtler,
A little bit
more subtle.
I've been trying to there's been some things that I've seen people be like, why? Like, they're like, why didn't they give Usopp a prosthetic nose? Like, why isn't his scar more apparent? And I was like, okay, I think we all need to for better or worse, view this in the fact that this is supposed to be in the real world adaptation of what a stylized cartoon is supposed to look like, and scars aren't that apparent,
Exactly.
and Usopp's nose is an artistic stylization of somebody else's human natural feature, and so I'm like, I don't think that he needed the prosthetic. No. Am I mad about the eyebrow? That's a different story.
Okay, well, you're wrong about that because it does not fit the same logic. No, I think my main criteria. Okay, I'll let Vero squirm.
No, I'm always right. I won't.
Oh,
How are we going to call him Dartboard Eyebrow now?
I
Took that
you
away
still
from us.
could.
Mhm. Give him, like something funny.
The
Whatever.
thing I did want to see was that they don't look like just good cosplayers, you know? And I think for the most part that seems to have been checked off, particularly in Luffy, Usopp, and maybe Sanji. We don't see a ton of him. I think Usopp here in this particular still looks fantastic. I'm so excited to see Usopp. Jacob is the actor,
Yes,
right?
Jacob Mero Gibson.
He seems so into it, so ready to go. I'm like so excited to see Usopp. I think he's also a lot of people's favorites for good reason. But we see so little of him in this trailer,
Yeah.
which is sad. Then we got this guy,
Mhm.
the what do you call it? The
Lord of the Coast.
Lord of the Coast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I guess Sanji down. I'm sorry, Shanks down there. Remember the time Sanji
Yeah.
saved
Yeah.
Luffy from the Lord of the Coast?
Mm-hmm.
I
my
like
favorite
when that
fanfic.
happened. Yeah. Is that on AO3?
It has to be.
I can find it for you.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's okay.
Hmm?
It'll come up later. Don't worry about
Finish
it.
it.
It'll come up later. It's okay.
Yeah,
I
after
think
I
this
say
is
another double
fun.
entendre.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm holding back. I'm being good right now.
I thought this actually
Why?
looked pretty good, Ed. I mean, like this could. I mean, first of all, we might not be seeing like final effects because we're still August 31st. I think was the date
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
announced. So we're still a few months away. I'm sure they're still hard at work.
would think
and
this
that's
shot-
I
fine.
don't think it looks
would-
bad.
Yeah, like I don't know what else.
No,
you
that's what I
really
was gonna
do.
say. I there might be some shots that are not 100%. But this I thought looked pretty good. I thought it looked rightfully terrifying,
Yeah.
and much the
Oh
opposite
wow,
of the
Zoro's
other
head is
shot here.
also
Rightfully true.
from separating from his body.
Come on.
Shut up. This was my own. I wish there's another picture that I dropped in the folder
I'll
from
find
a
it.
different angle of this. No, it's okay. I mean, it'll come up, but like I was nerding out about like all the costuming and fabric choices, and I don't know, because you were talking about how they feel better than just like a basic cosplay, which is like some people were worried that they're just gonna look like people cosplaying on screen. But like I love the direction that they were choosing. I'm very basic when it comes to like understanding costuming and stuff, but like I love what they did for him specifically, and then a couple others that I could see, but his had just I was very excited for the direction they took, you know,
I actually
translating his outfit.
I saw people commenting on his green hair. I actually think this is probably the best way they could have
I
done
think
that.
the wig looks
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Is that a wig? I'm very
I'm
bad at
assuming
spotting
it's
wigs.
gotta
I
be a
will
wig.
say. I'm like notoriously like I have a cousin who has like an older cousin who has like a wig, and I would never notice even though it was the most obvious thing on the face of the earth. So
I could not
I'm the
imagine
target
this
audience.
Actually, I'm assuming that all of them are wearing wigs.
I thought
are,
that was
like,
highlights, just like they just put highlights in his hair. Is that not possible?
No, that's got to be a
it's
wig.
Okay, I don't know.
Specifically, like when you need a character's hair. Again, I'm talking base level knowledge here, but like they would have to touch his hair up so often, and like it would be hard for reshoot. Like
Yeah.
it's probably a wig. Like him, Emily, and Taz are probably all. But yeah, no, it's Lily's front.
The two things never trust me on: wigs and colors, and also the word wig in a sentence.
Wig.
Yeah, that's it.
Wig.
Yeah, big time wig. The earrings look good. Everything.
Mhm.
I mean, I think
If you're
Zoro
gonna have
is
green hair in a live action, that looks like some believable green hair.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's not fluorescent. I think it's the.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why I can screenshot it with it saying bigger pirates. But here is what was the name of their ship again? Alvita ship. It's like the love boat. Actually,
Like a lovely duck or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I am excited to see pirate ships.
Yeah.
That figurehead though looks. I think that's probably the most Saturday morning 90s kind of looking thing I've seen so far in this.
It's the Miss Love Duck.
Thank you.
Love duck.
I'm Ed. That's why we got Ed here to tell us it's the Ms.
Google
Love
it.
Duck.
Mhm.
Google. I mean, first of all, we've seen some sneak peeks of the Baratier. So we're seeing Luffy
Yeah, so this one
sitting.
isn't too much of a surprise.
Yeah, Luffy sitting on the Going Merry figurehead. Going Merry. Yeah, it's or whatever.
Figurehead.
As he looks at the Baratier. I really like what it looks like.
My
Baratier.
roommate and I did like this cooing his overalls at the same time when we saw that.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Mhm.
Oh, that is cute.
Yeah. I like that the Baratier reminds me of like a semi-tacky little restaurant I would see on the shorefront, in a like coastal town. I like that it's kind of cheesy. I like the neon lights. I think it's cute. I'm very excited.
I like the lighthouse thing at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good touch. I didn't notice that. And it also has like a kind of New Orleans-ish feel to it, which is an interesting take on it. It's not bad or good. I just think it's a unique take.
Sure.
I think maybe the font and the neon. What else? Okay, we're not talking about that anymore. No more Dougie.
We talked about it.
Oh, here we go. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Vero. This is all
Where
you.
is it?
And Steve also. Where's what?
Where's what? It's fine.
Waldo?
I feel like my opinions on Taz Skylar are already extremely known to people who don't even want to know my opinions on him. But
Yeah, please repeat for those who don't.
I don't know what else I'm supposed to say other than he looks cute and handsome. So, that's what I'm going for. Also, I like the wig. So, where's the eyebrow? That's my only thing.
They show him doing a kick later on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Sanji kicks.
Yes.
Good.
Well, we knew that.
I'm glad that
manga.
made it in.
Steve, you read the manga. You could tell us if that
I
happened.
do. Yeah, he doesn't have his little peach fuzz either.
Yeah.
Did he have that pre-time skip? I forget the.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Look.
Yeah.
Check it out. My shirt. Yeah,
He's got a little bit
Okay.
of
Well, wait. Maybe we could zoom in on
uh,
Steve's shirt
little
here.
bit
Yeah.
gaze between my chests and look.
Okay. Well, here we go.
Sanji's
We're
little-
in
you
Steve's
can't
chest
really
here.
see it because of the lighting.
Steve's
here.
cleave.
Yeah.
We're getting a show
eyes
right
up here.
now.
Am I calling this episode Steve's Cleave?
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
I'll drink
Vero
it.
said it.
Cleave it to Stever.
Wow. It sounds like they're murdering you.
Sanji.
Yeah, the hair covering the eyes is kind of very loose here. It doesn't, it's not like I feel like they weren't really married to that hairstyle.
I will say, and this is just the perspective of somebody who when doing costumes and cosplay and stuff. When people cosplay Sanji, from what I've seen, when they thin out the bang, it tends to look better, because if you just have like a solid, it works in cartoon because it's like the shapes, but like in real life, it just hides your face, it hides your features, it drowns everything else out. So I think it being sort of thin and wispy like this gives the effect of, I don't know, Sanji's like a fucking broody teenager sometimes. So we've got the dramatic emo bangs, but also it doesn't swallow the rest of him up with it. So
Nil in the chat said he looks like a very angry Frenchman. That is Sanji. Sanji should look like a very angry Frenchman.
Except he's gonna open his mouth and be British.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, he could do a bad French accent. Everyone could do a bad French accent, except me.
You sure?
Give it a shot, Zach.
Yeah, I
no,
want to hear
not
it.
happening. That is
something.
not happening.
You were just over there. You should have learned something.
I was not in France.
You were close enough.
France, Croatia, they're like
I'd like to
Yeah,
have hear
like
your
thing.
attempt at an
It's the same.
accent.
It's like saying
I am the
California and
Sanji,
Florida
I
are
do
the same.
kicks.
Oh, here we go. I should probably go to the next image so we get away from these French accents. Oh, there's the kick.
Yeah.
That's an interesting
Fun.
screenshot. He's holding the food. What food is that?
Is that
That's the
is that full
question.
body?
That looks
There.
like bread. And
That does look like
that-
full
that is-
body in the
Oh.
foreground.
Those
Yeah.
pinstripes.
And he's murdering someone. Nice. Okay.
Oh,
Unless
and
do you want
there's
to talk
Kobe.
more about full body? Yeah. So there's Kobe.
Kobe is giving
Kobe.
off the
Wow.
lesbian energy.
I'm
Big
like
time.
twink ahoy, you know.
Mhm.
Should I write that one down? I don't know if I should write that one down.
I thought we were going
Um,
with Big Shirtless Son.
We're not up to that yet, Ed. Ed really wants to see the shirtless Sanji. And the one kid really wants to see the okay. Now we talk about a treacherous stretch of ocean, which is the wig, I think, is
the
what we were
wig.
talking about in our chat at least.
In
They used to call me in
some
college.
shots, her wig looks great, and then this one, I was like, "Oh, that's a wig." But like, and there's
You
another
see,
shot
I
that they
couldn't
put in
tell,
there.
so it didn't
Yeah,
even phase
Can't
me
tell?
because I have
Wig.
I have wig blindness.
Wig. Everything I want to say about her is that she just looks gorgeous. So I don't.
I've said
I
this
like-
before, but I ship Vero and Emily. I've always.
Don't ship the real
It's okay. You
people.
can put it.
I know Dan doesn't want me to
Yeah.
ship real people, but when it's a celebrity,
Real
it's
people.
fine. They're not real. Celebrities aren't real. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Said Zach when he's at a fucking airport at 5:30 in the morning with a stack of Funko Pops. You're not real. Sign these.
Somebody in the chat said, "But what about her acting, Vero?" I don't think I've ever seen anything she's acted in. So I think she
Wait,
just.
You're obsessed with her, but you haven't seen
hold
anything
on,
she's
wait a minute,
done.
wait a minute. I'm not obsessed with her.
Mm-mm.
I just think
Take-
she's pretty.
Let's take Vero to task in their own segment.
She's in like horror films, and I don't watch those. So.
Oh yeah, I don't watch those either.
Yeah.
She was on
okay.
Fear Street. I mean,
I listen. I'm sure it's not actually scary. I just haven't ever, you know. She just was
yeah.
super involved with like the community online before the casting, so it makes like it's fun to see her in a way where it's like it's so fun to see someone who's like a fan being able to be involved in something like this. Like I can just imagine the excitement. That's I think that's where my personal joy comes from.
Yeah, and she also, I think her avatar on Twitter is the left-handed drawing from Oda
Yeah.
of Nami. I think she has a good amount of cred for good reason. This is the one I want to talk about.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
looks
I thought that
so
was cool.
damn cool. And again, I'm not trying to talk about my recent trip, but it super gives like I think it even more than that. It gives like Greek vibes, like on the coast, of those like buildings that are on top of each other. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the trailer, but that's because I'm a boring old man. Any other comments on this?
No, like I think it gives a lot more depth to an area that we weren't really in for very long in
Yeah.
early One Piece. Like, so there's a lot more potential to really explore like what Sheltown's about. It makes it a lot more grand, which I'm a big fan of.
But guys, I found
well,
an issue.
Oh.
Oops, wait. Oh no, that's the issue. Is that I'm going back and forth too much. There was a church, is what I was trying to say, in the foreground. Is Christianity
There's
supposed to be part of?
Bibles.
Oh yeah,
Did
that's
we-
true.
Kuma.
What?
Kuma has a Bible. There's a guy
Okay,
named
I
Jesus
guess
in
I'll
One
get
Piece.
fired for
Yeah.
this blunder.
Please get reading. Why don't you?
But the other thing I was going to say, like, it's in one of the earlier screen caps, but there's those big posters of Morgan in the
Oh
background.
yeah,
Mhm.
Which I
In
thought
the
was a nice
execution
touch.
ground, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. That's what a tyrant would do.
Yep.
I want big pictures of me everywhere. Okay, so let's talk about this. Well, again, Luffy's wearing a different outfit, and that makes me happy.
True to One Piece, it looks like his hat got bigger too.
His hat always it's underwater, so it's more bulbous. It's filled with water. I don't know if there's much else to say. Here's some Zoro.
Mm-hmm.
Sword in his mouth. Wait a
Yeah.
second. Is the sword backwards?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to cut them.
Oh, yeah.
Did he do them backwards? I think he did do it backwards like once or twice early on.
Well,
That's a good question.
doesn't look that. He doesn't look weird with the sword in his mouth. Fortunately, he doesn't look that weird. For
No.
people who already have seen the
I-
anime.
I think Zoro works because he's the super serious guy who has a sword in his mouth. So it's the Oda thing of
It's just the wrong direction.
well,
It's-
we'll find
Yeah,
out.
he did it backwards, and thank you for Trekker OC. Yeah, he did it backwards in Water 7 when they were fighting the shipwrights.
Right.
I think Chopper and Nami were like, "Don't kill them." He's like, "Fine."
But he's holding the other two forwards.
Just kill them a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
get back to that when it comes out. The Luffy stretch, the gum gum.
Mm.
I didn't hate it, and that's that was my
Being at night
expectation.
definitely helps cover up
Yeah.
that CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just think there's a reason why like the Fantastic Four and a lot of other movies have had issues. I think rubber is just
Yeah, that was the only thing
Difficult.
holding back those Fantastic Four movies was
Yeah.
the way Mr. Fantastic looked. Yeah,
yeah.
script solid. Yeah, no.
Yeah, those are actually I've actually seen at least one of those, and you're right.
Yeah, that's the
But
last time you've been to the movies. That's why.
that was in 2019. No, this looks. I think it looks as good as it can. I guess like that. I think this is like one of the harder things to translate to live action.
What zany
personally.
cartoon action?
Oh, here
See,
you go.
She's so cool.
Hair looks
got her
much
arm
better
on.
in that
Arm
one.
on.
Yeah.
that
So
I think this is a promo pic. Yeah.
this is one of the promo pics that I found that I dropped in here. I'm wondering if it's just that shot from earlier, but like at this one, it looks really great. I like the.
This looks
natural
perfect.
look. Yeah.
Yes, this looks good.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that in order to make the hair, I guess, more natural looking for both Zoro and her here, you get like it's a mixture of color. It's not just
Oh yeah.
red.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to have like the roots tinted a little bit different color and then the bright. I like that like in this shot you can see her roots a little bit and I love that. And I think somebody was complaining that like Sanji has roots too, but like that is kind of gives a more
Yeah.
natural look to it. Huh?
Yeah. And that's hair.
I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah. These are the directly from the manga outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
I think the fact that they made her skirt pleated instead of it's sort of like she's got like a circle skirt going on. I like because it's more
It gives more of
mobility.
a piratey vibe, to be fair,
Yeah.
right? They have
Mhm.
those in like Peter Pan, I think, right? Isn't the pleated something? I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. Oh, here's better looks at these two.
Oh yeah. The hair. Yeah. Sanji hair looks. Yeah.
I think
That's
he
on-
looks this looks much better. I mean, it's a promo still, so that makes sense. That's a good wig if that's Zoro, because I see the roots, I feel like, but I don't know.
If it's not a wig, I don't know, eat one of my figures.
No, I believe you. Again, I'm wig blind. So
It's
you
just
know.
good. It's like hair and makeup department was, they were
Yeah.
in it.
I mean, you also, I think this goes for a lot of us, know like not literally behind the scenes with the One Piece show, but like how show business works sometimes, and if you overthink it, sometimes it could ruin the experience a little bit. What else do we got? I like this one a lot. I mean, I like
Yeah.
this outfit. I like the different outfits for Iñaki.
That looks like his outfit in
Without the
chapter
anchor
1.
on it.
Yeah,
without
like his
the
anchor shirt.
Oh yeah. I do like the anchor. I do like. But
Wonder if that's
I-
what they were going for.
Yeah.
Isn't this the ship he loses in the whirlpool? that he's
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, this looks like a much more. Oh, it could be the one with Zoro and Luffy, where it's just the two of them.
in? Mm.
Or with
But
Kobe,
I was gonna say
Kobe.
this looks too complex to be that ship. I feel like that ship didn't have a sail
Oh.
or ropes, and he wouldn't be able to work any of those things. I feel like. Better shot of Usopp as well.
Mhm.
It looks
That's
great.
Really nice. And different bandanas, right? I think.
From the one in the with the barrel, yeah, that was different.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like the darker one.
You know, isn't there another one with
This is
with
one of
Luffy
yours.
in a
I
Hawaiian
think,
shirt? Do we have that
Vero.
besides Big Shirtless Son?
We
Um,
did. We. I could go back to that after. I don't want to scroll through back and forth too much.
I guess this
But
is
there
Arlong
was.
Park.
Yeah. I
Or no.
would've-
I guess
or
it's, no,
Baratier.
not Arlong Park. Baratier, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He does this in Arlong Park, though. He does this too, because or remember when they stretch his
well,
head
they
above
stretch
the
his
water,
legs out, yeah.
and Sanji's the one who has to go in to
Mhm.
do that, and gets
We didn't see
What is it,
anything from the
a
Arlen
roadie?
Park episodes. I think that's
Yeah.
I'm
those
sure
are
it's-
That's gotta be
being worked
some
on.
of the last one or
Yeah.
two. Yeah.
Mhm.
Vero, can you
I,
talk
I,
about
I
this?
heard you take a breath in, Vero.
I was
Okay.
sitting here enjoying the image and I forgot to breathe. That's all that. No, I'm just kidding.
Should I zoom in?
Just like being underwater.
Should I zoom in more?
Stop.
Uh,
Oh,
Enhance.
I can't stand you.
Enhance.
I can't.
No, I just thought it was cute. That's the word I'm going for. It's cute. Good for
Hmm.
them. I can't wait for more of this. More of
I think this is the
Swimming.
last. Yeah, this is the last one I have here. There were some of yours too, though.
Can
I'll
you show me the
pull up.
Luffy looking at the Mary again?
Yeah, this like the second one.
Back at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, this one.
And
Right?
show me that Usopp.
you think they're wearing the same shirt?
Oh.
Looks an awful lot like this.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Wait.
Green
Oh.
bandana there. Similar Hawaiian shirt.
yeah.
there.
Kinda, yeah.
Wow, that would
if
be some
they-
attention to detail there.
Yeah.
I retweeted some stuff that Greg had posted comparisons. Like, I think that was one of them, and then I could probably pull them up. I retweeted them on the Twitter.
Podcast Twitter.
Yeah. But there's a couple of different shots where it looks like they're taken from color spreads or cover pages,
man.
which is so cool. I'm trying to find them.
Sorry,
sorry.
That is a really nice touch.
I'm just thinking how much I want to reread Arlong.
Yeah, me too. I need.
That one piece,
for-
it's good.
I'm not going to talk about the manga yet. We'll talk about that when we get to the SGS. But for that reason and for the live action, that is a real good motivation for me to like reread from the beginning. I do want to do that. It's been a while. It's been since 2015, I think, that I've done a full reread. I know Vero just did it in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Were you looking for something? I can't remember what we were doing here.
Just the comparison images. I can't find it right now. It's okay. But
Okay.
Greg posted them if anyone is listening and wants to go find them themselves.
Wait, I have your set of photos if I'm able to find them.
It's probably a lot of the same and probably
Yeah.
low quality.
Okay.
But
So we'll
I think-
forget it then.
yeah, I think
Uh,
if I'll just go look at my
yeah.
screenshots myself. Oh, Nami has pigtails in one of the shots.
Oh,
which it's in
I'll find
there.
it. I'll
It's,
find it.
you know, it's not that important. I was
Oh,
just
like
really
that's so
tickled by that.
important.
She's got the Skype pigtails. So
So great, yeah. The one with the costume that, or the clothes that Luffy is wearing when he's sitting on top of the figurehead at the Baradier is apparently from that the gardening color spread.
Oh, the fan request one.
The faces on the plant, on
Yeah.
the eggplant, the potato, and the onion.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember
Mhm.
that one.
Do you want me to bring it up analog
yeah.
style again?
Yeah, please. That's the only way we could do it. I believe these
Yeah.
are yours. Yeah, these are yours. Wait, I'll show
Oh,
it.
yeah, so yeah, the Luffy one was also on that cover.
These are Vero's. Anything with this particularly other than cool pirates? standing?
I was just enjoying seeing like the sets and them building the ship.
Oh, I'm shocked that this is in your. list of
There's
things.
multiple from that. Thank you.
Oh, Shanks. We get to see
we got
from
the back
behind.
of Shanks' head. Yeah.
I mean, I don't
So-
know if there's much. That's a
We're
good
talking-
shot.
we're
to
talking
actually
about-
think.
We're talking about this.
Oh wait, let me. Yes.
Yeah.
So blurry, Steve.
The green,
yeah, no,
green overalls.
The
Sorry,
other
I gotta-
way. You're
Yeah,
on the
there
wrong
we go.
side. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Yeah. There we go. There
Yeah,
we
they
go.
are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sanji's not in that.
Maybe. No, Usopp didn't even join the crew yet.
Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
Orange
I
Town, I
thought
thought.
that's. I didn't realize that's where the Mario overalls came from.
There we go. I don't know. This is hard to do.
Oh yeah, this is actually one thing we didn't really talk about. I think we've talked about on the show a little bit, but the Going Merry figurehead
It
itself.
looks cute.
Oh, it's just white.
There was a couple, like somebody leaked an image, but while it was in production or something, and it looked a
Yeah.
little terrifying. But the
It
added,
did.
I think that the tongue, it's cute.
The tongue, and I think when the eyes, I think when you're looking
Mhm.
straight at the eyes, they're not as terrifying. Yeah. Let's see. Baradier, just slightly different pose from Iñaki.
Oh, the very last scene of the two of them like talking, and his like very eager smile. I was like, okay, he has the loopy energy that I'm looking
See, I
for.
agreed with that. See, I didn't think it was too hackneyed. The or cliche.
I think they were talking about him being like, I'm tensing some tension. That was weird, but him
That
being
was
like,
the one. You're right. You're right.
He's here. He's like,
Announcing
you gotta
his
have a
attack.
cool
This is- yeah.
name or something. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you always announce your ultimate attack, and
Yeah.
you got to do that. No, I don't.
Sora's response was, yeah.
Mhm.
I think that was a
It-
really good way to bring that up too.
Yeah, because you forget people don't do that, so it sounds kind of awkward. So I don't know. Maybe Luffy will inspire Zoro to do.
Makes
the same
sense for
thing.
Luffy to do it of all people.
Yeah.
Vero,
Yeah.
do you have anything else to say? Oh, there's the pigtails. That's what it is.
That
It
was
is a good touch. Yep.
Yeah.
Are those? Yeah, I guess they are pigtails. It's just hard to tell from this thing. I was going to say ponytail.
I trust Vero. They know
That is probably the worst looking of the
It's
wig
probably
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
That one.
Who knows? Maybe it was a reshoot.
And then I think
I'm
we've
surprised
seen
how
all
much the
these.
slingshot looks like the slingshot. You know,
It's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's just straight up. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
slingshot.
Yeah.
I'm wondering
I-
when in the story the place where Luffy's looking at the figurehead is supposed to take place, because now I'm wondering if they're going to get the Going Merry
Probably.
during
or
Usopp's
earlier.
arc, or if it's going to be like constructed for them.
Well, they have it in Baratier.
Well, I also got to think about it, like, because when they got the Going Merry, it was just like at the shore.
Yeah.
That's not how most boats are done.
Right.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that is probably a better. You could expand upon that in a different way, I think, and it could
That's
succeed.
cool. That's a cool shot.
It is a really cool. So, like, I think we talked a little bit about the direction, and I think it's either I love it or I hate it. There's like no.
I mean,
I only
still,
have
like,
strong
very-
feelings.
It's basically a teaser trailer. There's not a
Yeah.
whole lot.
Yeah.
to go off of.
I think Sam also pointed out. I think he has a lot of PTSD from the Cowboy Bebop live action. I'm not
That's
saying he's
fair.
wrong.
You know, it's
to
so
have
funny.
that.
I was curious. I was just checking what people were saying on Twitter and being like, "Oh, this has the same tone as the Cowboy Bebop live action," and I thought, okay, well, that's not a bad thing because that tone didn't fit Cowboy Bebop at all. It fits One Piece more than Cowboy Bebop, so yeah, of course.
There's a lot more swearing and really, really bad lines in that trailer. I never watched the series because everyone scared me off of it.
The only thing that I've been saying for some people who like friends who are saying like, oh, I don't know how I feel about it, or like Cowboy Bebop burned me, or the old Avatar Last Airbender burned me. Like I'm tired of like live action reboots, and like the original series still exists, and I'm going into this being like, this is a love letter to this series in which somebody is doing their interpretation of it, and you've got a whole bunch of people who really like One Piece getting together and like, you know, doing a spin of it, and it's an adaptation. It doesn't have to be 1-to-1, and I don't know. I'm kind of excited. Like, I also don't think I have enough.
I wouldn't want it to
information.
be 1-to-1.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want
same.
to. I'm okay if they change some things, because if I wanted to watch the exact same show over, I would just go watch the anime. I don't need this to be the exact same
Yes.
show, but with people in costumes.
Yeah.
I want to see like,
Yes.
how would you tackle this? Like, how would you tackle Sanju's fighting ability or whatever in the real world? Because obviously it can't happen. Like, I don't know.
You know,
I'm kind of excited.
and you know, we're in like in a post live action Cowboy Bebop world, and I'll use that as an example first. I'm like, I personally thought it was terrible, and it's practically, it's like no one even remembers it at this point now, and the Cowboy Bebop anime is still great,
Yeah.
and it's gonna keep being great. And then, you know, you had Dragon Ball Evolution during a time when honestly Dragon Ball was pretty, I don't want to say dead, but it was very dormant as a franchise. There was no new material coming out, and that piece of shit basically convinced Toriyama to make more canon content again. So I don't know. You know, if this isn't, if you personally don't think this is good, or if it's, you know, critically not well received, it's not the end of the world. And if you're going to be around people who are going to mock you for liking a series that had a
Get better
subpar live action
friends.
adaptation, get better friends, or
Yeah.
don't go on Reddit, touch grass, any of those. Will be. At
Reddit
this
should have
point,
stayed shut down.
yeah. I mean, like it's this. I'm old. I'm old in a fandom, and like this isn't like when like 4Kids was like the one official way to watch the series. So like no one's holding a gun to your head to watch this. This is just more, and I think this will probably this will hopefully get some attention on the series, good or bad, because the fact that we've had so many people on our podcasts when we ask them how'd you get into One Piece, like honestly, like half the time a lot of the people say I saw the 4Kids dub.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that wasn't like what got them hooked, but that's definitely what piqued their interest a little bit, and then they eventually went back to it. This live action could do the same, whether it's good or bad. I don't know. There's worse things, there's, I don't, it sounds so weird. I'm like, I don't know. There's worse things in the world that you should be more concerned about than whether or not Netflix is going to do a decent live action One Piece. Because at the end of the day, you just go back and just read the manga, watch the anime.
I think this might just be me, but my ideal live action adaptation of most anime, particularly One Piece, would have just been a completely different story in the same world. I know that is not even something that probably was on the table at any point. I just think
I did that with Detective Pikachu, and that wasn't really that huge of a hit.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it could temper the bad expectations of it a little bit. Okay.
I just think I'm like this is a record-breaking series, and it's so huge. I mean, also, just coming from Japan too, where they just have like One Piece themed stores and there's One Piece crap everywhere. And I'm like, what's the worst that's gonna happen?
I agree.
I don't know.
I have one question. And well, first of all, Steve and Vero are gonna do regular episodes on the feed, like monthly-ish, until it comes. So it comes out August 31st. So monthly is 2 months.
One month? Yeah, I guess we could do something in August too.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
We'll see.
It's pretty soon. I don't know if you want to talk about what you were thinking of doing. I don't want to put you on the spot with that.
No.
I want it to be a surprise.
Okay.
No.
Okay. It'll be a surprise.
Why don't we actually?
We're gonna
We'll
do
do
stuff.
something. We'll do stuff. And then we'll feel comfortable about announcing it.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I like announcing things. Is the problem.
Listen.
Yeah, that's your problem, Zach. That's always been your problem.
Shut up, Steve. Anyway, what I was gonna say is, do you think, from what you see here, and I know Alex tested this theory out, do you think this trailer even could appeal to a non-One Piece fan?
Yeah, I have Oompies who have never read One Piece, who are like, yeah, whatever, I'll put it on. So.
Did they like the trailer?
Yeah,
or they just
enough
were...
to be like, oh yeah, actually, this kind of looks cool. I'm
Okay.
never gonna. The people I'm friends with who are like, no way in hell are you ever getting me to read or watch 1,000 episodes of something, but I don't know. I'll watch this and understand what you guys were always talking about. So.
I thought that said something else, that comment there.
Yeah, we can see your ass.
Sass.
That's sass, I hear.
Does anyone else have any other opinions on like whether this could translate to non-anime fans, non-One Piece fans, just regular old Joe Schmo who doesn't enjoy things?
Just
don't
like
know.
echoing what Steve said.
Yeah, Zach, I'm mentally ill. I don't know what a normal Joe Schmo.
I could get my mom to watch this, and that's
I love you, Steve.
huge,
You're good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe.
Anytime. This took a weird turn.
That's good enough.
Yeah,
Do you guys need us to leave?
How you doing there, Ed?
Yes. Yeah. When did you guys all get here? No, I don't know. I guess if I show it to my wife, that's the ultimate test. If
Oh, please do. I want can actually have her come watch it with me and Steve.
I think that's a good idea.
I want.
She did promise to read it. This is a much easier task. 8 hours is much
Babe.
less than.
Yeah, she owes you a solid after what you did, especially
Yeah.
the things
These
that
days.
come to light.
These
Yeah.
days, yeah. I don't think she knew. No one knew about it. Was it 2016? That was before she was like.
It was like
did that happen?
2014.
Was that
Like-
still like
was.
the era where she was talking about like wizards like crapping themselves and
Yes.
their
It was
in
definitely that
Dumbledore's
era.
game.
their poop goes to the
Yeah.
Phantom Zone or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it that press tour? Was that?
Yeah, around
I was
that
also
time,
privileged enough not to have to deal with all of that shit.
Like, yeah, it was like 2013, 2014.
I think I was not tuned into any of that. I'm not tuned into much, to be fair. Anyway, I think that'll do it for our live action segment, but we're going to have the SGS in a minute or two, unless while I get Stephen and Greg on the line, is there anything else about the live action that you want to mention that you're particularly looking forward to that hasn't been seen that you're looking forward to?
I just want to see it. I
Yeah.
want to know.
Way to really elongate this segment so I could get Greg and Stephen in.
Well, then don't
I
ask.
want to see. I would hope that maybe the next trailer shows us like a glimpse of Fishman, just because I'm very curious about that. But,
I am very curious about how that's going to work.
I am looking forward to Arlong Park making me like ugly cry on the couch.
I hope.
Yeah.
Well, if they can do that, then it'll be a success.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say
Yes.
if they could make me cry,
Hmm.
hands down, they did a good job.
There was
that's a good test.
motifs of "We Are" in the trailer music. I
Yeah.
wonder
Mhm.
what the rest of the soundtrack is going to sound like.
Yeah, I need to listen to that again. I didn't
Yeah.
pay enough attention to the soundtrack. It didn't stand out to me a ton. I did get chills watching it though, so that's good.
Chad needs
What?
to calm down.
It's like, okay.
Jesus
Thank you,
Christ.
iconic.
I didn't look
for
slightly to the right,
always-
and I should have. Jesus Christ.
Thank you for that. I agree.
Hey, look who we got. We got Stephen Paul just in time for
Hi,
Shuggy
Steve.
Nation.
The iconic
Sorry,
Simba
Steven.
in the background.
Oh yeah, it's light out.
Aw.
Oh wow.
Oh, Simba!
Oh yeah.
I didn't.
Can we zoom in on Simba?
That's amazing.
Enhance.
Enhance. Focus on Steven.
Looked right at you there.
Oh my god, he's just looking at you. Oh, now he's not. No, now he's leaving.
He's
No.
shy.
No.
Too much attention.
No.
Steven, I don't know if your mic is in, or if you're just being quiet because of Simba.
Yay.
Wait, I gotta make it the big screen.
Yes.
Sorry,
Oh, wait,
Steven, we can't
wrong
hear
big
you.
Oh, now we can. Wait,
you?
we meant to
There
put
we go, there we go.
Simba.
Okay.
Yeah. Finally, our mascot gets their time in the sun.
No, he wants to sit like in the 2 inches of space between my stomach and the desk. That's what he.
Yeah, that's
Why
how that
won't you
works.
let him? That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah.
And yet Vero
It is a me problem. Yes.
has
For me.
3 cats and we haven't seen any of them.
They're all downstairs napping in the cat tree right now. So
Oh.
yeah. Yeah.
Welcome, Stephen. How are you?
Hi. Doing good.
Can you? I know Greg can't, but can you tell us your thoughts on what you saw with the live action? Your honest.
Oh,
kind of-
the
trailer.
The trailer. Yeah. The thing that I'm trying to think of how much to say. Yeah, I saw some footage that was like raw footage a while ago. I have no idea what point of the production that was, and so actually seeing all of the big shots and like the Lord of the Coast and stuff like that was like whoa, because I didn't see anything like that prior to this, and so that was kind of mind blowing to see like finished shots and effects and stuff. So that was kind of like the thing that was like the most stuck out to me that was new. But yeah, It seems cool. Am I on the right mic?
Oh, that
I
was just
thought I
between
was.
us.
On Restream.
On Restream.
I believe I am.
Okay.
Should I turn off here?
Yeah,
Echo
turn off that.
cancellation
Now
and
you
noise
sound good.
suppression. That's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
That
cool,
that
cool.
was it.
There
Maybe
we
I
go.
should do that too. I don't know if I've been sounding good this whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. I have echo suppression or cancellation,
there you
whatever
go.
the hell that means. Anyway, how's it going, everyone? Oh wait, is that? I'm missing Ed. Why did it cut Ed off? Okay, here's Greg. enough stalling for time.
I'm gonna skedaddle.
You're leaving, Vero.
Bye, Vero.
Yeah. Yes. I
Okay.
have. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I wasn't planning on staying
Wow.
for this. Listen. It's their time. I gotta go sew anyway. So, deuces.
Down here, it's our time.
Deuces.
Goodbye.
It's our time down here.
Bye.
It's their time. It's Greg and Steven's time. It's time for the SGS.
Hey, where's
I-
my sound button?
Fine. Okay.
Nice.
Your audience is too loud.
Sorry.
Just turn it down a little. Wait, I need to feature Greg and Steven, not me. Wait, featured Ed's microphone with no one in it.
Mike was
It's a
asking. me.
ghost.
There we go. I mean, Ghost Ed is still there, but it's fine. So, Steven and Greg, I just finished listening to the last. Well, first of all, for those who don't know, the SGS segment is where Steven and Greg talk with each other in a very private setting without me interrupting, and get to talk and get to really like talk shop. And if you have not listened to it, please do. There's a link to it on onepiecepodcast.com, and I'll post that in the chat probably at some point as well. And so I was listening to the last episode just today, and Greg, I don't even know if you want to say the answer to this question. If you can, by the way, there's a lot of questions Greg can't answer despite being contractually obligated to answer. But Greg, you mentioned, I think that, I don't know, maybe I just missed it, that one of Oda's favorite arcs is, and then I think you got into another conversation. So I was wondering what the answer to that was. It was related to the stuff going on right now, I think. I don't know if Wano was the answer, but
Wano, yeah, it's
oh, it was
it's Wano.
Wano? Okay.
Yeah, because he's
Okay.
I mean, like, I don't know if that's his definitive answer, but that was kind of like a from the cuff kind of answer that he gave. He didn't devote like a lot of time to thinking about it, but yeah.
Okay. That answers my question. So we're going to take questions from all of you, but before we do, and we're going to keep this under an hour, Greg and Steven, I am champing at the bit to hear about your, thank you, Steve, I was expecting it from Steven, to hear about your thoughts on the latest happenings in the manga, because the last time you were on, we had just, Emu had, by the way, we're going to get into spoiler territory here almost exclusively. Yeah. So if you don't want to listen to that, this is the time. Also, you probably don't know who Emu is if you're not caught up. So, but he had just taken the throne and you were like, what's going to happen next? And go. What did you think of the last two chapters?
Greg, you want to go?
I'm sorry. I'm just a ball of emotions today.
Reasonable. Do you want to talk about that first?
No, it's fine. I just need to collect my thoughts. I'm not in manga mode, to say the least. Let's see. Stuff happened. Okay. I was. What do we have? We had the chapter where there was the reveal of the true forms, not true forms, but the powerful forms of the elders, and that they actually themselves are fruit users of some sort. And we had in that chapter not too many reveals for, I guess, Emu in terms of body. There was, but there wasn't because of the ambiguity in the first shadowy panel where they're where you see all of them in their weird shadowed forms because Oda doesn't want to draw them yet or reveal them yet. And boy, I'm even more all over the place than I usually am. I'm so sorry. I'm just
no, you're fine.
It's a very, 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 very tough day. I mean, wonderful
in a good way. I
wonderful,
was going to say
yes.
Yeah.
That was fun to get to try and dissect, because that's what I spent my next column on. My next column is largely based on like, so what are they? What's going on? Are they awakened? Which ones are zones? Are they all zones? Are some of them not zones? Are they paramecium? But that panel ended up being pretty ambiguous because you've got the big one, right? There's a big one in the center top, and it's like it's clutching the stairs. And from the way that they're arranged in the previous panels, just the arrangement is kind of setting the reader up to understand that is the guy I called Blondie. What the hell are their names?
They have names now, right? Jupiter.
Yeah, I think that's Jupiter. Yeah.
Yeah. Peter.
Shepherd Peter.
Shepherd. Which my guess is my initial was like, oh, that, and I guess that's Peter right in the center there. But you look down to the bottom right of God, who's in the left there? Is that Saturn on the very left?
Wasn't it Finestro?
You could probably
Stephen. We have not talked about these names yet, but we should at some point.
The guy with the horns, whichever one has the horns. Doesn't matter. If you look to the bottom right of him, you see a little typical like Oda, like 3 cups, kind of like, hey, there's a hint of something drawn there. So that could actually end up being Peter, which in turn would make the large creature at the top kind of menacingly gripping those stairs. That mean that's Im. But the weird thing about it is that Im has a very strange, and I don't know if you addressed this on the show, Steve, but there's some strange, unique kind of movement that occurs, and you see this Imu's eyes go from the normal oddness that were the concentric circles to like this almost feral kind of form, and then you see that form very twisted, almost chomping down on the flames of Sabo that he throws out there.
Yeah.
And in the next, almost, I think it is the very next panel. Then you turn the page, it's like that's where you see the shadowy reveals. That figure in the middle is not. There's no sign that occurred. There's no sign that happened. There's no like smoke coming out, or there's no mouth drawn. The eyes certainly don't look like the standard Im eyes.
And that would be the 5th person too, right? So like, there's only 5 silhouettes in that.
There are 5 there are 5 clear silhouettes. And then there's that odd one that's in the bottom left-hand corner to the right of and it looks like almost nothing, but it's like that could be Peter.
Or that could be like a tail, or like
it could be a tail, it could be the Hagoromo thing.
Oh yeah.
It could be a number of things, but the point was, I was just like, what is going on? Like this is so vague, and it's not like Oda's, it's not like he's been perfect. He has done like movement fails before, and depiction fails. I'm thinking of the Nami from, what was it, Zoe, I think, where she's on somebody and it looks like her legs are broken, dangling behind her. But I don't know if you remember that one. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Greg, I'm just going back and forth. I think you were correct, because if you go back and forth between the pages where the 5 are standing, there is where that like little tiny silhouette is. There is between on the next page between those 2 same characters is that screaming face. That is probably the one that is in that little tiny. So
yes, and it's a amorphous kind of face, isn't it? Right. So like it could be.
I would show it, but I'm not going.
You really can't tell, but the point is, I read through all of that and I was trying to do this really detailed article on like which one is which, and I was just like, I can't decipher this. I was like, I need some help. So I called up the editor, and I was just like, man, like I'm sorry to bother you with this question. I try not to do this, but like, can you tell me which one is which? And then after that, I qualified and I said, unless Oda is trying to be a little bit ambiguous about this to hide the powers. And almost immediately I got a response. It was like, Oda's trying to be ambiguous to hide the powers. So, okay, all right, no touch. All right, okay, we'll just leave that be. So no definitive answers there, but it is interesting. That was what caught my attention the most, because I don't know, from long time being a fan, one of my favorite parts are interpreting those little hints from Oda for things that really don't matter. Like, you're going to find out what they are, and it's going to be like, cool, it's a thing, and you're like, doesn't really matter, but it is a thing. But like, that's the week to week kind of discussion that's fun. And there was that the I'm sorry, so much going on with the chapters. Was this the one where we got the D reveal? Was that the chapter?
Yes. It was at the beginning of that chapter before Sabo.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is where I got into a lot of almost like
the poneglyph map thing. Yeah.
Author psychological kind of like the psychobabble kind of think of like what can Oda and Stephen, we talked about this, is when can Oda lie? When can he make his characters lie? And in doing so, when can he do so without making the audience feel like they're being betrayed or lied to? When is it okay to lie, and when is it not okay to lie as an author?
You're talking about the Lily thing,
specifically about the Lily thing. Yeah. With specifically the line, Lily. I think it's the Goro say, the elders say something like, "Yes, it's true that she never lived here," and the implication being like long term. She never lived here long term. It's true that she never lived here long term, but like, we don't know where her motives were. We don't know what her things were after that, and it was too far in the past for us to know anything about that. And I was like, that's almost like a two truths and a lie. There are parts of that Oda can lie about and that he can't. And the parts that I said he could lie about are only the parts where we have reason to doubt. Right. If you are of a certain mindset regarding what Im is or isn't, and the next chapter gave strong indications that is the case, then they do have a means of understanding what happened in the past, motivation in the past. So like to say, oh yeah, it's so long ago, it's been lost to history, that is a lie that he can make because we can determine that. However, the lie he can't make is she never lived here. He cannot make that as a lie as an author or for those characters, because that would be a betrayal. And I wrote a lot about that. I used a lot of pulled in a lot of details and other cases of like, oh, here's where he did this similar kind of thing. All of it cut. All cut. So the only place you'll ever get to hear about that is here. And I'm not going to go into any of the details. Sorry, but that was that chapter.
Even if we ask nicely.
Nice. Yeah. And then the next one was the name reveals.
Yeah.
And also, Steven, did you get a chance to talk about that, by the way?
No, I was not on last for the manga recap. So actually, this is perfect for me.
I should have left on the big screen when he was doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a fun piece of trivia. Now, I don't know how much this definitely got around in Japan. I'm not surprising at all, because it is pretty. It's like staring you right in the face when you see it. But I'm not sure how much this was covered or known in the English fandom. Yeah, so everybody who thought Nerona, like, okay, so we have this Imu, and then the family name is Nerona. What does that mean? You know, look up the references. What is Nerona? You know, what does it sound like? What could it be a reference to? And this is actually, it's not a reference. Well, it is a reference, but it's not a reference to anything that you would assume. This is another example of Oda doing a visual piece of work. So I'm actually gonna,
I'm writing it out if you want me to. Oh, you have it?
Oh no, I can do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, it's good we're doing a video podcast today.
So, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm like. Okay, this is perfect.
All right, tuck in, students.
Yeah. So for our audio listeners, I will provide some explanation here.
Paint a word picture.
So I'm going to write
Literally
out...
what they're doing.
That's actually what they're doing. You're right.
Okay. So here... Okay, we can see that.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, that is Nerona. That's the name of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And then
This is so
here
bad.
is Imu. Here, I'll write the little letters.
You have good handwriting, Stephen.
Oof, well, save that for when you.
I
see
don't think
my
I've ever seen
English-
Stephen's
my
handwriting.
English letters here. Okay, so there's Nerona. This is katakana. This is how it's written in the manga. Nerona, and then Imu is the name of the given name. And I was curious about this. Like however long ago it was that we saw Imu revealed. The name Imu was revealed, and I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast or not. I may have, I may not have, because we didn't know. But I was definitely thinking it at the time. Is that Imu is like the combination of the katakana Imu is looks very similar to something. And so what actually Oda has done here is he has used katakana that you can combine into kanji. So I'm going to start with Imu here.
I think this is a good example of something that can't be translated.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about it last time.
Okay. And you can see you just squish them together here into one kanji.
Hold it up
And
a little
that
higher.
makes- And that makes hotoke. Yeah, sorry. I'm holding this in front of my face, so I can't see my monitor anymore. There we go. Hotoke, which is Buddha. So like this is in like Hotoke no Sengoku, for example, is Sengoku the Buddha. That is how it appears. And that can refer to, the Buddha, like literal Buddha, or it can refer to, it can be used as a dead body, for example. It's kind of a slang term for a dead body. Now, so that was interesting. I was like, well, that's odd that it looks so similar to Hotoke. Like, I bet Oda could be doing some kind of wordplay thing here. So I'm going to do this step by step here for Nerona. We start with the ne. This is going to go on the side. So that's part of the kanji here. And then I'm going to draw the ro. Okay. So there, now that is in there. And then na is the last part.
I think I see where this is going.
Now, if anyone is a fan of Dragon Ball, does that look familiar?
Yeah.
That makes the kanji
God,
for
right?
kami or
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
Yeah.
how did I remember that? I don't remember shit.
So he's got both God and Buddha in the same name, which is really interesting. And that is a combination that is used a lot in sayings in Japanese. Like you can both, if you do them in the onyomi reading, it becomes shinbutsu, which means Shinto and Buddhism. So that's obviously a real world sort of thing. But you can also just use like kamemo hotokemo, which means like both God and Buddha, or neither God nor Buddha, depending on what the rest of the sentence is. And it's basically just like a very demonstrative thing, like like even these divine powers either do this or they don't do this, or something like that. And so basically, like the idea is that it's like Imu's whole name is like super holy McGodly man or something. Like it's just something so
I like
over the
that.
top. And
Yes.
it's awesome that
Yes.
it's like literally in the name of like, this guy or this woman or whoever it is, they are a god. It's right in the name. And so when I noticed that, like as soon as I saw that in the chapter, I was immediately like, that's interesting. And then like before I was even done working on the chapter, I got out, I was like, wait a second. And I started, scribbling it out. And so I basically did this whole thing with Greg when we eventually talked about it, where I was like, hey, Greg, anything stick out to you about this name? And then I, sent him this video of me doing that exact thing with the kanji and the katakana. But yeah, really, really cool thing. It very similar to the Nobel or the Ebel and the Mobel or the Zobel.
Oh yeah,
or
that
whatever I
was
called it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was primed to be ready for that.
Looks like
Steven.
Greg has something.
Chapter 764, White Monster.
What volume are we in?
That's
Volume,
extra Fogger Laws flashback.
I like how Greg is
70s.
reading this like we're sitting down for sermon.
Yeah, I need to go get that.
Congregation, please open your books too.
Say one piece be with you.
May the one piece be with
And
you.
the Shanks, the Luffy,
and one
the
piece.
Buggy, and the
Sorry, what volume was that?
77,
Okay.
chapter 764. We're in the law flashback. Ed is completely on point.
That's
And I guess I'll just
oddly good, Ed.
read it to you.
Well, he read the title, so
そして、ある土地では D の一族をこう呼ぶ者たちもいる。神の天敵。
Yes. Should I?
Yeah, you
gonna
might
read
wanna-
that. Yeah.
In English, Doc. We ain't scientists.
Oh, do you want me to read that in English? Because I'm
Yeah,
just getting the
I don't
chapter
have it
up. 774, right?
64.
760. 764?
Stephen
I'm
and
sorry,
Concord.
our podcast episode is 774. That's why I got confused. Specifically, where in the chapter is that?
Let's
I don't-
see. We're a couple pages in. In terms of manga.
Oh,
pure
and,
manga,
here, I got it.
one,
It's
two,
what
three.
Corazon says, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. I'll read the whole story from Corazon. Why not? We're sitting down for story time. Back in my hometown, children were scolded into behaving by this threat. If you don't behave, you'll be gobbled up by a D. Every once in a while, when another person with the name of D becomes known, the elderly all raise an eyebrow and murmur. The D will always cause another storm. And Law responds, what's that supposed to mean? Am I some sort of monster or something? That's what he sounds like. And Corazon says, perhaps no one knows the truth, but the name lives on in the dark shadows of history around the world. In one area, the people of D are known as the enemies of the gods. And if you view the celestial dragons as gods, then perhaps your people's goal is the very destruction of this world. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now that becomes a little tricky here because with the plural and singular, which I believe is what Greg is getting at here, which is that if Nerona is literally God, if Imu is considered God singular, then that still lines up with that statement from Corazon.
Interesting. The enemy of the emu, as we all say.
Yes.
Yes.
The enemy of the emu is my Nakama.
Can we talk about the elders' names too?
Yeah.
They're ridiculous.
There's no way
Sure,
that I
sure.
could think of to translate that into English, right? Like that seems
the Nerona thing.
both.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to do it in the same way that is like a visual joke, just because of the way that, like the visual differences between the alphabet and katakana and kanji. Like this is literally just like made for that sort of thing, with the way that kana and kanji work, just because the they're like the building the blocks that can be used in as radicals and as different elements of kanji. So there's no way to do that. You could hypothetically localize it by giving Imu like a completely different name that has certain holy or godly qualities to them. But obviously that would be, it would sound completely different. It would come across completely different. And, that's obviously like that's a really drastic step to take. And it's the sort of thing that like, I'll do stuff like that with the names of random islands that have very punny names. But, like even just doing it for a character, like it can be very controversial. Like just think of how much ink has been spilled about Cat Viper and Dogstorm versus Nekomamushi and Inu Arashi. So that sort of thing you have to be very careful about for sure.
There are 23,000 word essays that Greg is not writing about that. Yeah, Ed's question is a good one because we never got, you weren't on last week.
That's right. I'm like, should I bring up the chapter?
Greg, you're on twice on my thing. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, go ahead.
Get it. All right. So the 5 elders. I guess we should call them the 5 elder planets, huh? Not the 5 elder stars.
What does a godhead mean in this particular?
That's a good question. That was an interesting. That was a creative choice on my part. So I think it's very clear from context that this title, these titles that they all have under or along with their names are basically ministerial positions, right? Because it's all like something
agriculture
of agriculture and of defense and justice and so on. Shinra. So the term in Japanese that they all end with is bushin, which literally means like war god or warrior god or something like that. And it was a tricky thing because like my first inclination was like, okay, so this is clear that these are all like formal titles that they have, and they're they each are in charge of some aspect of the government, presumably. But it's kind of tricky when you get to like, okay, you can do something of something, right? Minister of Finance, for an example. I think it gets trickier when you start adding extra adjectives to it. So like warrior god of finance, warrior god of agriculture.
I am the warrior god of finance. Fear my Excel spreadsheets.
It gets a little cumbersome. It's a little wordy. And honestly, I doubt that Oda. I have my doubts that Oda will ever use these words again. Like I think this is probably the only time we'll ever see them. I could be proven wrong, but this is one of those things that he loves to do when he introduces people. And so I was basically like, okay, let me look around for other, to try to do a thesaurus thing and impart some, find some word that is not just God, but maybe has some other extra quality to it. And eventually I settled on Godhead because unfortunately we don't have a single word that means war god. Like, when you talk about Ares or Mars or whoever, it's always, this is a war god. So I kind of came up short looking for a snappy one word thing that had the war part in it, but I did settle on Godhead just because I thought it sounds kind of cool. Like it sounds a little, and it is a word that can be used to describe, non-theological senses, but obviously in this sense, given what I just told you about Imu and Nerona and stuff like that, they are playing a lot with the holy terminology, and so that was kind of what I came up with.
Also all saints.
And being saints, yes. Holy men. So, and that was kind of cool. I liked that. I liked that term that I came up with. as far as the names themselves, I mean, I think they're all pretty straightforward.
No.
Some of
No,
They're not.
well, I just mean that like
yeah. I just
largely
meant
they're the
wacky.
way that Oda wrote them.
Yeah.
The one
Steven, what do you,
go
are
ahead.
we going to hit
Greg.
the same one? This is 3, 2, 1. Nasuju. No, you're not
Oh
going to do it.
no, I was good. I
Oh,
was
really?
about to say I was about to talk about Topman Warcury.
Oh, okay.
He was the one that I thought was the biggest deviation from the pattern, I guess. I mean, obviously it's supposed to be a reference to Mercury. I didn't know if this was supposed to be like he's the he's the evil Mercury who shows up with a W on his hat, and
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You know, that
How do you say vodka again in Japanese? Is it vodka or
vodka,
is it
vodka.
tenten? Is there a tenten in there or not?
No, they don't do the they don't do vok. It's
That's it.
vodka.
That's it then.
Yeah.
That's it. Because he's Gorbachev. No, I'm
Oh.
he's Gorbachev. So he
Interesting.
and we do
Oh,
have
that might be the joke.
the land of vodka, right? So
Well, it was a
Yeah.
6-pack was the
Yeah,
was
beer.
where the
King,
Russians
King
were
Beer
from.
the Sixth.
King Beer the
King Bear the
Sixth.
Sixth. Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
was
God.
Um,
The okay, so I believe Greg was maybe referring to the fact that so our so-called Gandhi lookalike here, Saint Ethan Baron V Nustro. So
That's my
the
favorite.
Juro, if that sounds like
pain in
something
the ass
out of
name in Japanese.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
If
think
it-
what was it? Joey said Ethan Baron Cohen is the name of it.
Jesus. Yeah, if the Juro sounds like something out of Wano, you would be correct because he did write that in kanji. That's the only, or no, that's not, sorry, that is not the only kanji that appears in these names. But that one very much makes him sound like
Mhm.
he could be Wano. Maybe Oda was just going for some variety. But very interesting that he has kanji at the end of his name.
Based on the
No.
hilt of his sword, it's possible he's carrying the first generation Kitetsu. So
Yes.
Ah,
It's very possible.
interesting.
And what's also odd about his name is that the first half of his name, similar to some Wano people, is written in katakana, which is just a weird. It has always been a weird thing for Oda to do. I think Momonosuke also has this as well, right? Momonosuke has like he has Momo is in katakana, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's freaking weird.
That is weird.
I don't. There's. It's very strange that he would do this, and especially without any reason. Because using katakana is such an important thing for him that, like, in determining like this is if you're using katakana, it means you don't fully understand what this thing is. You don't understand the concept of it. He does the same thing for the Pirates of the Sun. They use katakana for Taiyo, and we've talked about this a million times, but they use katakana for Taiyo because they don't understand the concept of the sun. So why is he using a concept that Japanese, not Japan, Japanese people, not Japan, not Japanese people shouldn't be able to understand their own names?
Can I posit a theory? I think, is it possible that maybe he wants you to have that outsider's perspective, because to the Straw Hats, Wano is a foreign land that is impenetrable.
I was gonna say I think it could also just be shorthand for like Oda saying, yes, these have kanji in their names, like they're Japanese people, you know, like they have culturally Japanese characteristics, but still have them be like not like, in other words, this is still like the One Piece equivalent of that, where it's not actually the same as a real thing. Like these are not these are not Japanese people who are isekai'd into the world of One Piece. They're still this weird kind of wacky wonderland version of Japanese people, I guess. That could be one way to look at it.
I was going to say it could be because, there was a civilization on the moon that was based on all of those things. And they came down to the earth and they crossbred and they had names that were, associated with the moon, and they left it all. But, hey, I don't.
Like, what do you mean?
Who
That's something I would have said.
Who knows?
I like
Who knows?
it.
they write their moon runes on these rocks. And
Wait until we get Kaguya Hime. That's coming.
Oh, yeah.
the
other guy with the other character with kanji in their name is Shepherd Jew Peter. And the Jew is the kanji for 10. which also looks like a cross. I don't know if that was what Oda was kind of going for there as a cross language sort of visual pun. But it's interesting that he has a character has Ju in their name with 10, and then he has a character with X in their name as DS. So that's kind of funny that
That's funny. Yeah.
we have multiple 10s. Yeah, I don't know.
So we know the planets all being similar.
Right.
What about their I guess given names?
Their family names?
Their family names, the first names. In this case, is there any pattern or
That's tough.
similarity?
Yeah,
That's
it is.
tough. That's really tough. The first one was so easy. I expected the rest were going to be like that. This
Yeah, me
one,
too.
Shepherd. The only thing I got from Shepherd is he was literally like, what's the Japanese word or what's the English word for literally a shepherd? What was it? The astronaut, right?
Oh yeah,
Shepard.
Alan Shepard.
Alan Shepard. Yep.
Hmm.
That was my guess. Which is, more stuff in the stars and whatnot. So
I'm with you there. I wanted to go to.
I mean, that's
go to the
a
moon.
thing, like history wise. Like, I think I remember reading somewhere like it's a common thing with like obviously sailing to use the constellations to be able to chart your course. But I thought it was also a thing in some of the biblical stories, but also just like in history, where shepherds would use, if they got away from the primary area of their flock, would use the constellations to be able to find direction.
Well, and also
It
Peter
might
was
be a reach, but
Peter was the apostle who became the first pope, and he was called to be the shepherd of Christianity. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that last time too. What about like Ethan Barron? Besides finance, like
Who knows?
like that. All right,
Yeah.
Top Man. Anyone?
Top Man is weird. Did he see like Monopoly Man and he was like he's a top hat man, but take the hat off. He doesn't. Oh crap! Maybe that's it. He's a top hat man, but he doesn't have the hat, so it's just instead of top hat, it's just Top Man.
I was going to say, is Oda just like a really
does
big
sound
Mega
Oda.
Man fan?
no,
Yeah.
he's the guy who was studying the Ark in Raiders.
We have
Yes.
Top
yes.
Man, yes.
Top man.
He's working on it.
Who
Yeah, I
else?
don't know. I don't.
Marcus Mars. I mean, that's just a good name. I think we discussed that last time.
Marcus
Yeah.
Mars.
And his
Stupid.
Marcus
Funky
Mars plays bass
Marcus
for Motley
Mars.
Crue.
Yeah.
Does he? Are you serious?
That guy.
No, there's a guy. I think his name is Mick Mars. Actually,
Oh, okay.
plays bass for Motley Crue.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
maybe it is based on that because Jake Garcia. Maybe there's like hidden musicians in the other three that we're not
Wait.
seeing.
He plays bass.
That was
and he's based on
Initially, I
that?
went to musicians.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a fun thing to make like big antagonists. Is like, oh yeah, they also have musician names.
What is this, JoJo's?
Yeah.
You know what? It's been done. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Stephen, on the names? Otherwise, we should take questions, right?
Sure. Yeah, we could take questions.
All right, guys, give us questions. Let me see.
Is there anything in Discord?
Oh yeah, we do have stuff in Discord. So in the chat, give us questions. We'll answer those. And let's see what we have on Discord. I don't know where Steve went, but let's pretend he's there. Oh wait, I need this one. Okay, SGS. I'm gonna go backwards in time. Felix Storm says, "Hey there, a while back." Oh, actually, before we do this, sorry everyone asking questions. Do you want to talk at all about the trailer?
If you ask me questions in this particular segment, I might have to answer them. But
Okay, he is
whether I
contractually
can answer them
obligated. We made him.
I will. I can at least entertain them.
Did you enjoy the trailer?
I was sobbing throughout the trailer. There's a video record of it, and
I
it's
heard
on my YouTube account. It's privated now, and then I also got an email informing me that it's blocked on YouTube because it contains copywritten material.
You're crying?
And me cry. No,
Oh boy.
but it was a very emotional watch. That was the first time I saw it in that form, and just you don't know what was behind the. It wasn't like it wasn't just I'm so happy that this is a thing. There's a lot behind it. There's a lot behind the emotions that are going there, and it's not something we can talk about yet. But we will, and it's coming, as they say, and uh, it's been a very, very long road, and there's been a lot along that road personally, that has kind of been the constant that has seen me through, and even that as the constant has had its ups and downs, and very, very difficult time with online stuff as well. But to see all of that kind of culminate in that moment, and to see the world experience it in that moment, there was no possible way I could hate it, even if I did hate it, and I don't. And I think the one thing that I would want to put out there and just say is why I can love it so much is context is important, and there are a lot of things in the trailer, that trailer in the teaser, that I completely get where people are coming from with comments and thoughts and opinions, and it's just it's frustrating not to be able to say I get you, but you're wrong. And it's really tough to be able to say that, Buggy, and it's I can't be specific about anything, but like
Everyone said good things in here, but we had Vero, so that might be.
Yeah, no. But I just mean, in general, the general. And
yeah,
honestly, my God, people were so ready to hate, and sure, I'm sure there you'll find those spheres of just like the people that just want to see the thing burn. But that's not what I'm seeing so far. Instead of like, oh man, it sucked as expected, you're getting like, well, I guess it was all right. And they're like, well, it was all right, and like 5 out of 10. And like, I'm sorry, but like, if you were primed to hate this thing and you gave it a 5 out of 10, that's amazing. And if that's the hate, like then people who are into it, and what you're going to see from this point moving forward is just, I can only see it going up. And today is the day I've been waiting for a very long time, to see how the world would receive a taste of it, and to see this reaction, and man, just how, and oh boy, just watching it with my wife was very, very, very moving. And even when I came on the stream here, just think about, because I was watching the previous discussion with Vero about it, and just hearing you guys talk about it, and being able to be here with you folks and talk about it like this is just, it's been a long road, and it's been rough, but we're here, and it's out there, and I'm just so happy to be here today. It's wonderful. So yeah, obviously a little bit more complicated than, yeah, I saw it and it was all right. But
you're gonna make me cry, Greg. Yeah, I like cannot believe the journey. First of all, insanely proud, and I really can't wait to talk like about it completely with you, or as complete as we can. But also just like thinking the journey you've been on since 2009 when you first came on is beyond incredible, and it's obviously been fraught with its own challenges. And
at this point, to be honest, it's all of us, isn't it? I mean, and it's
Yeah.
not just limited to the people here, the 6 of us right here. It's really everybody who's been involved with the podcast, or been touched by it. It's yeah,
it has been amazing. Like Steven, a great example. Steve, he wouldn't be on Rick and Morty without the One Piece podcast. I think we could say that. Maybe. No, that's it's so cool. I want to save this like full discussion for when you're able to have a full discussion. But yeah, very proud. That's now I'm getting emotional. Okay. Let's ask some questions. Unless anyone else has any live action questions for Greg. I don't want to put him too much on the spot though. Okay.
Let's go.
We have some on the Discord first. Someone even wrote in since you were giving that explanation. Felix Storm says, "Hey there, a while back, it was discovered that devil fruits were the products of people's wishes or dreams." That was from the Vegapunk chapter, I guess a while back now. That being said, what kind of person has the dream to become a jacket that someone can wear? Should have seen where that was going. I should have read the question first.
Have you never had a boo that is really chilly and you're just like, oh babe, I just want to snuggle you and wrap you up and
Steven,
make that a
again,
living,
please.
boo, a boo.
Thank you.
Dan, isolate the footage.
Into the boo box with you.
Wow.
That
went from
close.
That went from super sentimental to someone wearing another person as a jacket, and there's really
we are
no
talking
way.
about the Funk Brothers, so I don't know how sentimental you think that ever was.
No, I'm
somebody-
saying with
somebody
Greg,
invented
we were sentimental, and then we moved to the Funk Brothers.
Perfect.
and
It's perfect for One Piece tracks.
No, it is. Vinny C. Doc Feelbad says, "Hello, SGS. I am extremely fascinated with Uranus."
Oh boy.
I really should read these first,
I'm
right?
going to isolate that one.
Do not. He's going to. In 1086, E movement. He just wanted me to say that, or they just. In 1086, Emu mentions Vegapunk's creation, the Mother Frame, and later on in the chapter, Ivankov implies that this is Uranus. And God, am I 10? Or probably related to it. My question, is there anything we can glean from the original text that informs us on the nature of the weapon, whether the Mother Frame is a weapon itself or possibly a power source? And I do also want to ask, since Stephen wasn't on and we have Greg here, do you think the thing Capone was on, has anything to do with this?
I would like for that to be the case, because I always thought that was going to come up again. And then when we saw Capone in Whole Cake Island, I was like, okay, well, now we're going to find out Big Mom has a freaking saucer with a tractor beam and everything. And nothing. And I was like, okay, well, I guess Oda just came up with those, and maybe he thought, okay, well, I'll set these stories up, this foreshadowing for an eventual, return, and then I'll figure out what to do with them later. And then he changed his mind. I didn't know if that was supposed to be like, well, here's another wacky day in the world of One Piece, these crazy adventures that we went on, and you just don't get to see these ones. But now that we're talking about another giant hovering craft of some kind, I feel like that would be a great way to tie that back around. I mean, I think it would be nice to get some acknowledgement of why, similar to, I mean, we joke about answering why Sabo wasn't at Marineford, if he got his memory back, or if he was still alive. But I do think that like having some kind of explanation for why we didn't hear anything about this from Capone would be cool to help sell that, I think. But
they wiped his memory.
Yeah. It could be. Yeah. I mean,
exactly what happened to Sabo.
They could, the Men in Black thing. They just hit a little red flash in his eyes. Yeah.
I wonder if Oda has seen Men in Black. Probably.
I
don't know how popular that was.
The
Uranus. It was Uranus.
Yeah.
Dan.
What? I didn't say anything.
This is a professional show. We don't laugh about Uranus.
Yeah, I guess one question just right off of that is like, do you actually think that Vegapunk built this, or was this something that they were in possession of? Because I did not assume that Vegapunk had built, this. We can call it Uranus, but I had never, I didn't take that away from their conversation, because, like they said, it was, he doesn't create tools of slaughter, right? I'm like
Yeah.
looking at the chapter in Japanese.
I assume Uranus, if indeed that was it, and indeed Vegapunk did something with it, there must be something more to the ancient weapon than just destruction, even though they're called the ancient weapon. I mean, Greg, do you think that title could be something you were mentioning, like truth and lying in the text? I mean, couldn't that be kind of the history written by the winner kind of thing?
In what sense? I'm sorry. I don't.
So
I didn't
that
fully
sorry. I also my brain not working. The ancient weapon have just been something termed by the world government to give it the aura of evil, versus maybe the ancient weapon is not a weapon at all, but something destructive potentially of the world government, but of multi uses.
Like
I mean
Poseidon.
that's
Like
we already
Poseidon.
have that with Poseidon, so absolutely. Whatever. I mean, Poseidon, the last Poseidon, completely effed over Emu. That's why we get that slashed up Shirahoshi, right? Is because that's obviously because Emu was like this freaking thing. It's thorn
How
in
do
my
you find
side.
out that was Poseidon, though? That Shirahoshi was Poseidon? Caribou?
Oh, I'm sure they know that. I'm sure they already know that. I mean, what was it? They would have known from the Ten Yubito, the celestial encounter,
Oh yeah.
when Mjolnir was there.
Oh yeah.
And she summoned the. I mean, that's just one way for them to find out.
I forgot about that.
And then most recently, I mean, very recently, it happened with the events at Fishman Island. So I mean, there are plenty of ways for that to have passed up to Emu by now. So yeah, Emu's just
Sorry, I got off the topic we were talking about.
throwing darts.
That's all Emu does these days is throw darts at things.
It's got time.
Yeah, so they were asking, I think, about the Mother Fire, or people have been asking, Mother. So actually, this is a good question for Greg. When you saw the scene here where Emu is in the garden and says, "I want to use the," oh, I guess it does say Vegapunk created. Okay, so maybe
weird thing.
Yeah.
Vegapunk ga tsukutta toyu. Right.
So yeah. So what is your snap judgment when you read this? What was your first thought? Is it? Did you parse this as Mother Frame or Mother Flame?
My first, and this is purely from being raised on like Gundams and stuff, was Mother Frame.
Okay,
that was my very first. However, if you want to go back to the damn Vegapunk stuff that we've had recently, we have a Mother C, right? So do you have a Mother Flame as well? Vegapunk looking for that source of firepower, literally.
Sure.
It's possible. But that's that's an editor question. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I was like, this could be either, like, there's multiple pieces of evidence I feel like that support either interpretation of it, which is it's just one of those things where it's like, Oda, I'm sure he had no idea that people were going to could possibly be confused about this, of like, well, maybe it could be two different words. So it is kind of ironic in that sense. So yeah, I'm fully like prepared for this to be elaborated on, and it turns out it is a reference to flame, and so we'll just have to change it. But yeah, that I was curious at what your take was on that, Greg, too, because
instantly hit me as Frame just because of Mecha. I'm sorry.
Right. And that was what I was thinking too. It was like, okay, well, you have the ancient mech soldier, the god soldier, whatever you want to call it, that Luffy and them found. And it's supposed to be super advanced. So, you could be talking about futuristic tech from the general level of the One Piece world. Or yeah, it could be that sort of primordial flame, the flame that gives life to everything. Like I think they're both equally valid or possible answers to what this thing is.
And he honestly doesn't make this any easier, because I see Stephen and Parker in the comments saying, I saw some people said frame and flame have different katakana. Is that true? Totally could be, but guess what? Unfortunately, a little thing called dafteru exists.
Yeah, well, that's true. But no, actually,
yeah, dafteru is.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
God,
actually
yeah.
I went to there's a pretty it's a website that I've used for a long time. It's like Agiro on the web. What is it now? It's like eow.alc.co.jp, and it's one of those Japanese dictionary sites where you can put in stuff in Japanese and it will give you English results, and you can put stuff in English and it'll give you Japanese results. And if you put in these particular katakana, because yeah, the difference would be, is it fu-re-i-mu, or is it fu-re and then an extension bar, which is just extending the vowel mu. And I think generally speaking, the fu-re-i-mu would be flame, and the straight bar would be frame. But if you put the way that Oda wrote it in here into that thing, you get multiple. You get all sorts of results. It lists flame and frame both as katakana pronunciations, and then here's some words: frame shift, flame proof, flameless, flamelit, unframed, airframe, door frame, mainframe, reframe, framework, aflame, inflame. So you get
Oh
the
no, it's
idea.
inflamed.
Yeah,
Mother inflamed.
Mother inflamed.
So clearly,
that does sound like an
both-
ancient weapon.
both L and R they're used in abundance for the same katakana. So it's not quite as open and shut as just like, oh well, it's one, therefore it must be one of them. So I think there's plenty of room to to be uncertain about it, which is why I'm giving you all of these qualifications of like, sure, we could absolutely find out it's the other way. But yeah, that was some of the stuff that I was mulling over when making that decision.
Yeah, I did see the internet talking about it after we had that. After you passed along that note.
Yeah, of course, I was busy. That I was like, oh my god, there's so much to talk about in this chapter, and then I was not able to be on. But
yeah,
such is life. Yeah,
I mean, you're here, and we're talking
Here I
about it
am,
now. We had one more on Discord, and then we are going. So please, chat, get your questions ready if you want to ask questions. SNP says, "Hello, Stephen and Greg. What do you think the D stands for? Dream, Devil, Dawn. For this person, I have been on the Dawn train, and with more and more chapters coming out, it definitely reinforces my thought on that. And from the first chapter, Romance Dawn, to how much Oda focuses on the dawn of the world in post-time skip arcs, the sun symbol, what brings dawn to the world, and it's the sun, and Luffy is the sun god. Even his straw hat is literally the image of the sun rising out of the ocean, or in another word, dawn."
So happy that people ran with that point I brought up in an article about a decade ago.
Yeah, I was going to say I have been on this. I have been 100% on this train for about 10, 15 years or so. Yeah.
Since whenever I read that article, I've been on that train.
There's no getting off this train we're already on.
Yeah, we're stuck.
Yeah, it's either that or it's the Simpsons thing, and it's DEE. That's the middle name.
Luffy just goes up to a barn. Yeah. What is my middle name? Yeah. Moves a tuft of grass aside.
Exactly.
D.
Let's see. So now we'll take questions from. Oh yeah, which article? Is that on your old website? And do you publicize your old website?
It's no. It's where is it? It's on the official.
Oh, it's on the official one?
It's on the official. It's somewhere. There's no way to like easily research them. I'm sorry. Yeah. So what I usually do is I go into my folders and I just search a word like dawn or something. I'll see if I can find it while we're fielding things here.
Oh, here's one. Can we get OPP crew collection room tours?
Not in this light.
Well, thank you, Ed. Ed has a great collection, by the way.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at it from me. I mean,
I got my newspaper thing.
I have my One Piece shelf and everything else.
Yeah,
And
there you
my
go.
I
room's a
have like
mess.
6 One Piece shelves just all around.
Oh,
Room's a
Stephen.
mess,
Yeah.
and I haven't even unpacked everything. I
I
haven't
had-
even
Oh,
opened everything I
Greg.
got from Japan. So
2 shelves of manga of the Japanese manga is the top 2 shelves, and then the English manga, and so on. Yeah, that's the best I can do. 'Cause
I don't
get
know.
up here.
I got this. Is this?
Okay, all right.
I was just
No?
talking to Dan that
Yeah.
it's unfair that you have 2 and you don't share any with the rest of the class.
Your
Um,
mom lets you
wait.
have 2 Oda
Yeah, I like that
autographs.
one. Yes, there's that one up there.
Yeah, it's the second one I was
Mhm.
referring to. Yeah.
Oh, all right. I guess.
You don't have any more? Just 2?
I mean, there's that one.
Oh, okay, 3. There we
Oh
go.
my
I forgot you had the third. I forgot you had the third.
Oh, yeah,
Jesus
third, too.
Christ. Do you have a 4th? If I keep
Well-
saying numbers, will you continue to have them?
Well, I only have the one his daughter drew my portrait. Does that count?
Aw.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
Your tiny little one.
That one's great. That one's really heartwarming. I like that one.
But did she do it with her left hand?
They're left. I mean, Oda's left-handed, so it was right-handed drawings. I got that wrong earlier. By the way, you can't beat Greg's collection.
Yeah.
None of us are gonna be.
Not a jump at least. I mean, the rest of this stuff is like, I mean, autographs or whatever. That was luck and a lot of work. But like figure wise and like collection wise, a lot of people have way cooler stuff. But
Oh yeah.
my jumps, you cannot beat my jumps. Sorry, nobody can. In
I have a
the world.
Domino's Pizza One Piece mug and a Luffy plush. There,
Oh,
there
I
you
wanna see
go.
the-
My
Oh,
jumps.
my jumps.
My jumps. My jumps. My
The
jumps.
scariest
Oh, wait.
Luffy plush in the
Check
world.
it out.
I need to show what Steve got me while he was in Japan. Steve, you got a whoop slap.
Yeah, I got that. Got my whoop slap.
Super happy about the whoop slap. Oh, Ed got one
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Uh,
get the
Not so
hiking bear.
special, Zach.
now that I'm a parent, I need to let people know that there are kids in the car.
Oh,
With a picture of Ace instead of Kid.
it's a shame that I didn't buy mine in Japan because he was much more affordable. But my whoop slap slaps yours.
My
Wow.
I wonder.
That's an episode.
I wonder what whoop slap would think of that. But I would be remiss if I didn't show the last thing. Rockstar is on this podcast.
Oh, that's great.
I have actual things back here that maybe I'll go through at some point. What else do we have for question? Here we go. Are there, this is from Wisdom Pythagoras, are there any additions you would like to see made in the live action story? For example, many people seem to think we saw Zoro fighting Mr. Seven during the trailer. I think that's awesome. Are there any other additions you would like to see?
Yeah, give us stuff we haven't seen. I don't know
Yeah.
if you mentioned.
Oh wait, this one.
I think, well, I mean, it's not quite the exact same, but I think there were people who were excited about things that were like from the cover stories that were in there that we wouldn't have seen in the anime, like Garp Ship, I guess, because that would not have been in the anime, right? Because they didn't animate the Kobe story.
No, they did.
They did. The
They
first
did?
two. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Kobe
right, never mind.
and Buggy's side story.
Okay.
But after that, no.
After that, none. Okay.
Sorry, I was getting collection
Poor
stuff.
Greg.
Oh no, Greg, you've turned into the One Piece podcast. Are we at this point?
No, my cell phone.
Oh yeah, that
Speaker.
was. Wait, I have to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a cool
What is
one.
that?
It's an old school cell phone speaker, like for a Nokia.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
wow.
That and like the. I have the Romance Dawn reproduction. I think I've showed that off before. That's pretty cool.
The
I
chapter
think
one.
the Mandarake thing. These two are.
Yeah.
I like any hardcover.
This thing.
These were the exhibition.
That's
things,
cool.
by the way.
It's pretty. It is
Oh
pretty cool.
yeah, Ed has some really cool stuff. Yeah. Can't beat Ed. Can't beat the Ed.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm a single man with disposable income. You can't stop me.
Jesus. And yet you could stop me very easily. Here we go. This one's from Torak. I should have read these before. I did not. With Emu having screen time and the Grimace shake being forced onto us, what would the Emu shake taste like?
What's
Salt.
the opposite of lilies?
Just salt.
Ed, I like
Yep.
it. Yes.
He's
He's
Yeah.
definitely bitter about something.
About
or
something,
she
yeah.
or them.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the sludge monster from Fern Gully. That's
It tastes like Tim Curry.
like, yeah. Thank you.
Wait, what is the
Um,
Grimace shake even flavored with? I keep seeing.
Grimace.
Yeah.
What does immortality taste like?
That's a
I'm
good
guessing-
question because the devil fruits taste terrible.
Well, the
I'm
Grimace is
guessing it's
also
not
immortal.
I'm guessing it's not a taro shake.
By the way, I also bought this, which has an
Oh.
Oda in it.
It does. That has the zebra,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, this one.
Oh, not the zebra. Oh, that's the JoJo one. Okay, okay.
Oh,
This is
nice.
JoJo one. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the zebra one. Okay. Sorry, I'll.
There was a
stop sharing
question someone wanted to ask about Garling. The
yeah, where is that?
the leader versus
Oh,
distinguished
yeah.
battle thing.
Oh yeah, here. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Steven,
yeah.
we discussed that a little bit last time, and it got
Yeah, that's right.
changed. I saw.
It did get changed. Yeah. They did manage to get that done. Yeah, that was something. Actually, this is an interesting thing to talk about because I'm not going to make any excuses. Like I flubbed it, but I thought it might be interesting to talk about the like some of the context that people might find interesting. Not about the material specifically, but just about like my schedule working on the manga. So I've talked about this a bunch on the podcast before, but there's a certain window that when we are working on these simulpub chapters that you get the material in to work on, and at least for Viz, there's a whole. It's like the translator does their thing, and then depending on how the editor prefers to handle it, they might edit the script before sending it to the letterer, or they might prefer to just send it to the letterer as is, and then they will go into InDesign or whatever and touch up the text to change it how they want to do it. And then there's proofreading. There's a couple different people that look over stuff, and it goes back and forth. And then there's a certain deadline as well where they have to be done with it and send it to Shueisha because it has to go on to Manga Plus servers as well. So, you can't just have it done like 5 minutes before they go up on Sunday morning or whatever. It has to be done before then. And depending on the series, so I've worked on, a second series several times now. Akane Banashi is the only one that's really taken off, but so I've seen the difference between timing. So like, for example, Akane Banashi is super early. I don't know if that's because it's there's a writer and an artist, so like they split up their work and they're much more efficient that way, or what. But I regularly get, almost every time, I get Akane Banashi earlier than I have ever in 12 years of working on One Piece, ever gotten a One Piece chapter in terms of the day of the week and the timing and stuff like that. And on top of that, Oda's range, the files will be submitted. I don't want to say he submits because, I know that it has to get scanned and they have to add the text file, the data layers and stuff like that. So it's more than just him, it has to go through a bunch of hands at Shueisha. But that gets uploaded within a range of like, a couple days. So sometimes it's early, sometimes it's late. Usually when he's closer to taking another break, it comes in later. So you can tell it's like, oh, it's just under the wire. This chapter right here was the latest I have ever gotten a One Piece chapter.
Wow.
And then it's like, okay, here's all these names. And so like when Alexi
Yeah,
sent
Jesus Christ.
yeah, and so when Alexi sent it to me, he was like, all right, like do it ASAP, just like get it done. And so there's some aspect of like, okay, well, he's going to leave the office at some point. So like normally it comes in the morning, or that's when they'll email you to say like, hey, the chapter's up. And so you have let's say it's at 10 a.m. or something. I was like, okay, well, it'll take me 4 hours or something, just a rough estimate, a 4-hour block or so, maybe 6 hours, depending on if I'm doing something. And so then it's like, okay, well, it'll be there before they leave the office at the end of the day. And this time it was in at like 2 o'clock or something like that. And so, then I'm getting emails like, hey, are you almost done? Like, should I just forget about this and leave and go home, or should I hang around in the office, sort of thing? So there was a lot of pressure. So I think what happened was that was the last page, right, of the chapter was when we see Garling. And so I was just like, all right, I got to get this thing out the door. And so that was kind of and I say that again, not as an excuse, because it wasn't that tricky of a line. I see what I did where I kind of just glossed over some of the stuff where if I looked at it closer, I would have realized my mistake, which I did after, I saw the comments and I was like, oh shit, I did screw this up. When we have stuff like that, where it's like, oh, there's a little contextual, there's the continuity is ruined or something, some of the details don't line up. Sometimes this happens with, like, if the Straw Hats are talking about, like, somebody has to go to this ship or something, or Frankie went with Brooke or something like that, and you don't actually see them in the chapter. And sometimes I will get that stuff confused because I just look at it and I'm like, okay, this is what it sounds like to me. But then if you look back 3 chapters before, this was what they were doing. And I get something wrong, stuff like that, which is really minor, is like, okay, I'll make a note of that and we'll fix it for the graphic novel. This, I think, was a case where, like, this is a new character. This is like some like red flashing, like important, like, keywords here, the Figureland and the God Valley stuff. So I was like, okay, people are going to make a lot of assumptions about this. They're going to make a lot of theories based on this. We need to get this one right. So that's why I went back and made sure that we fixed it. Because again, like I said, you can't just fix one file. You have to send it back to Shueisha, get them to upload it as well. So it is a big hassle to do that sort of thing. And that's why we try not to, we try to avoid having to do that if possible. But I made a special request in this case. So there you go.
Yeah.
Thank God for Sandman.
Did you have any thoughts on Garling? I mean, we talked a little bit about that in Film Red last time, but you or Greg, or
about the name or the character or
the whole kit and caboodle,
the whole neck tonight.
Yeah, that's a better way to put that, actually.
I think the big question at this point is father or grandfather.
Yeah.
And grandfather or father, excuse me, is not out of the question, because we just got all those headlines about, like, De Niro and stuff, right? And Pacino. So, and
it was De Niro. Yes, De Niro is expecting again.
I guarantee
yeah. I forgot about that.
I guarantee you, like he would totally be like, oh, well, this is in the news. He's like, okay, cool. I can do that with one of my characters. So, like, yeah, that could go either way.
Yeah, Lost Coffee spokesman expecting another child.
But also, like, One Piece ages. I think you guys talked about this last time. Someone who's 140 looks the same as someone who's 55.
This guy has the pointy shoes. He's got his hair all done. Like, he can still get it, like, for sure. That's
Thank you, Stephen. And, that's where we wanted to go.
He was around. When was the God Valley incident? How many years ago was that? Do we know?
38, I think. It was in that timeline. It
was right around the time the Mac returned.
Yeah, that's right.
Sort of around that era of the return.
You're really pushing this.
Yeah, he lied to them.
But I'm curious. I'm curious to see what this character has in store, what they're gonna do, what they do.
Yeah.
What is it that you do?
If Steven is saying that this guy can get his, does that mean that this is where Shanks learned to make his move from?
Once
That's
again,
a good one, Dan.
Yeah. He went right to Makino and
please, will you go out with me, please? Yeah. That's what Shanks did.
Yeah, he learned it from Aziz.
Yeah. This kind of Aziz. We don't have Alex here, who does a
Alex. That's
Aziz
a really
Ansari.
good Aziz
Oh,
Ansari,
perfect Aziz. If, by the way, last chance for questions if anyone wants. Ectonomom? Ectomonum. It's too late. Speaking of the Figureland reveal, we first heard the name in the movie years ago. We first saw Laugh Tale also in a movie. Do you like first learning these details within non manga, not the manga first?
No.
Me
I'm
neither.
biased. I'm the manga guy. I don't like
You're
being
the
spoiled.
manga translator.
I literally got I became the translator so that people couldn't spoil me, and but
That's true.
it is a weird.
Yeah.
It feels weird for that to happen. I'll be honest.
Greg, do you have?
This first of all, I don't like it, but this is a little bit different from the Laugh Tale, because Laugh Tale was something that, like, I mean, if you were spoiled, then you're spoiled, and like that can suck. But it's something that he, it was like you saw it in the movie, and you're like, did I see that right? And you had no context for it. So it was just like, oh, maybe they screwed up with the naming or whatever, like they always do.
Yeah, it could have been Toei. You never know.
Yeah. This is like there. I had friends who read the chapter and they didn't get to see Red, and I've been just trying to get them to see Red because of like that scene and one other scene. But like, when they were reading it, I'm just like, this is not going to land the same way. I'm so sorry. And he one of my good friends at work, he read it. He's the guy that I got to catch up to the manga. I bought the first 9 volumes of the volume, slammed him on his desk, and said, "Go! You have no excuse now." And he was just like, he's like, I don't know how I feel about this. He's like, these new characters coming out of the woodwork. He's like, you'd think we would have heard about them or like their names. And then I was like, yeah, see, in Film Red, this happened. And then he was almost like I stand corrected. From chapter 1, I guess, we had this connection. Okay, all right, very well, carry on, Oda, carry on. But yeah, it's just this time, this one hurt. This one was like, it was cool if you saw the movie, and a lot of people did, like, maybe that's why he did it, but still, you robbed nobody 20 years from now reading the series will have that same experience. You know what I mean? Like, we all share that because we saw it on time. But
that's true.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you have some thoughts about this, Greg, but I do feel like generally Oda is really good about not doing that kind of thing specifically, right? Like, he is very manga centric, but I do feel like, he does get personally invested in like the big projects, the movies, the film movies, and I'm sure he's maybe he has some special thoughts about the live action as well, where I feel like maybe this is the sort of situation where he got tempted. He was like, oh, what if I just like put some little cool Easter egg thing in here in this movie that I'm going to use later, just for this one time, because it's like I want the movie to be so cool. And he kind of he let that temptation win out in this case. You think is that accurate at all?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's it. And I think there's a little bit of desperation, maybe, to get the fans hyped up and excited and watching this stuff. I think that's in there too. Because there was a lot riding on Red.
That's right.
That's true. But the one thing I just want to add to that is, like, I don't even think, like, when I saw it, it didn't like immediately pop out to me. It's like a very little scene in this. It's not even like, and this is Shanks's surname. Like, it's not like even such a big thing. It much like the Laugh Tale thing. You could blink and you miss it. Maybe I don't know what's going to come in the following chapters, but maybe there's a reason. Maybe they're going to reveal it in a different way in the manga. I don't know. I mean, Uta also shows up in that silhouette in that one chapter at the end of Wano, where Shanks is thinking about when he's like thinking about the next generation and stuff.
Right. Yeah. And people were saying in the chat too, that, like, the laugh tail thing, like the laugh tail reveal scene in the manga was just like so much cooler than,
Yes.
just like a little blink and you miss it thing that flashes across the screen. So
I think they might have also been trying to time that, and it might have just been like to coincide, and it might have just missed. Because it was kind of close together.
It was
just
close,
don't remember. Like kind of like what Full Metal Alchemist they did with the manga and anime, except this one. I'm going to do one last question here from Gabe Ruiz. Steven, what's the hardest translation you've done to One Piece, similar to the God Hand thing you mentioned?
Godhead.
Godhead. What did I say? God Hand.
God Hand.
Yeah. Boy, that's tough. I mean, I guess it depends on like what sort of category we're talking about it, because I think that doing translations where you're kind of knowingly leaving behind a little bit of the initial context in the hope that what you add to it like sort of obliquely covers the same feel is really tricky. I don't know that there have been that many times where I've done that. I don't know. I mean, there have been a lot of things that were really tough. I think the thing that probably was the longest and the most effort was Big Mom's victory song, her Bad End musical, where I like had a whole rhyming schemes and everything. Like that was really intense.
In a week.
And, yeah, and that one took me all day to do, but when you feel like, oh, I'm on the brink, I can do this, I can get this, I can make these ends meet. Sometimes it just like clicks together. That one was really that was tough. I don't know.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, I'm like I don't know if anybody else remembers anything where they were like, what the hell was he thinking?
I mean,
well,
I know you've had a lot of those moments.
Someone suggested Bucking because you were vindicated on that.
Oh
one.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That's a really good one.
Yeah,
that's not as much a hard one as like, this is my moment.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. I set that one up, and I was just waiting for it to come back around. Yeah, that one was fun. On a similar note, I think the Kozuki Oden was born to boil. That line was one where I had no idea if it was going to work out in the end, and then I think it ended up being really, really cool. Like sometimes when you come up with a line and you just see the number of times that people have repeated it or just run with it, then like you hit something. I think like people really liked that one line when they come back from the flashback and Luffy says, when you're at sea, you fight against pirates. That one, I saw a lot of people like really running with that one. So I knew I'd hit on something there just with the wording. So sometimes it's a pleasant surprise when you see people like really go with something you wrote.
The dub just released a lot of that stuff, so it probably would be cool to see what they did. Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah.
I said that was our last one, but there's one comment I wanted to share to kind of put a pin in everything. Sorry. From Wisdom Pythagoras. The real-time experience of One Piece is something that I treasure so much. We'll never get some of these experiences ever again. Like with Laugh Tale's reveal, Oda crafts these moments for us. I've been thinking about it a lot, I think, since we're getting to the end game, like how, living in these particular times and all the 25 years prior is such a special and fleeting moment. I think it's really cool. And Simba agrees.
Yeah, he heard you.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, it's it is truly like you have to live in the moment sort of thing of like there's no replacement for the like slow grind of like, okay, you have to think about this for the next week before you find out what happens next, and there are so many different mental detours you can take and things you can think about and like theories you can come up with that will only exist for that moment, because as soon as you turn the page, you're going to find out what the answer is. And there's no, there's no replacement for that sort of thing.
We'll leave it there.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Before we go, where could the good people find you? Simba.
Over there.
Simba's at my house.
Okay, let's all head over to Steven's house. Steven, where could people find you?
You can find me and the occasional picture of Simba at Translatosaurus on Twitter.
Greg, where could people find you?
Ochimusha108 on Twitter as well.
Dan. Where could people
You can find me at HowDan923 on Twitter. You can also check out the OP Podcast TTRPG Twitter account for the Grand Line tabletop game, where a couple of our consistent One Piece hosts are players in that game. I've got an episode coming up in the next couple of days. Hopefully have it up by Monday. Sorry for the delay on that.
It's getting really good. I'm enjoying what we're currently recording.
If I can remember to record while we're actually in session. But you can also check me out over on our Maji Media Twitch channel. I've been doing some streams by myself and with Donnie, who's been taking the head on getting us all organized for that. So please head on over there and give a follow, and that should do.
Thank you, Dan. Steve, where could people find you?
SteveYurko.com, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram at Steve Yurko, co-hosting on ProZD. The Let's Play channel, ProZD plays games over on YouTube, and I'll be tabling at Anime Expo in downtown Los Angeles in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Steve. Ed, where could good people find us? Off the top of your head, as you always do, actually.
Yes. You are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I'm Edward E. One Piece. The podcast can be found at the new and improved OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, Instagram.com/One Piece Podcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Please support us, Patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. And you can call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497 Maji. 347-497-6254. Call anytime. With your questions, comments, theories, and please address them to Super Holy McGodly Man, and I will answer them. Thank you all so much for coming on the show. Thank you to everyone in the chat who showed up. Very popular night. Big thanks to Henry Thurlow for coming on, talking with us like 7 hours ago. And also thanks to Vero for coming on and talking about the live action and Taz specifically, and Taz's six-pack. So on that note, I apologize, Vero, but we're gonna call it a night. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Wait, before we go, Steve, do you have drawings? Sketches?
No.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.